Welcome home, y'all. This
Welcome
is
home.
Native Land Pod, and we are joining you live from the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's 53rd Annual Legislative Conference. We are here as your official pregame show for the dinner tonight, and we are thrilled to be joined by the brilliant minds of the conscience of the Congress and so many wonderful friends of ours, as well as elected officials on the local, state, the local and state level, and organizers. We have a jam-packed show, and we can't wait to get into it. I am with my co-hosts.
Welcome home, y'all.
Tiffany Cross and Andrew Gillum.
Welcome home, everybody.
Y'all,
We were trying to figure out what episode it is. So if you're watching, please drop a comment and let us know what episode it is, because we literally cannot remember. So drop a comment on our YouTube live.
It says
Oh, Lola is telling. We're 40. The big
40 episodes in.
45. I'm 45.
All right.
Okay,
Happy
well,
birthday from July.
Yes, exactly. So welcome to the 40th episode of Native Land Pod. I have to say, I'm really excited to be here. This is somewhat of a homecoming, I think, for all of us. I used to cover Congress years ago. Andrew, being a politician, especially when he was running, would come to this dinner. But Angela, especially for you, as you all know, Angela is the former executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus. So this was like your family, like the prom.
Nerdball.
Well, Nerdball is the Washington Correspondent.
I say Black Nerd Prom.
Yeah, exactly. This is the Black Nerd Prom.
Compromise.
But Angela, how does it feel to be back in this capacity? Because you still come every year. Have you missed a dinner?
I have never missed a Phoenix Awards dinner except when the dinner missed us, and that was during COVID.
That's
and then
right.
the next year, of course, we were virtual that year. The next year, we came back. So
yeah. This
will
will be a good dinner.
19th ALC.
Wow.
And I am so
That's a lot
thrilled
of
to
balls,
be here.
yeah.
I think what's cool about this, you guys, that I'm super, super excited about is normally the conference all week, all of the sessions are pretty open to the public. They're even live streamed. But the dinner is something that has often felt more exclusive. And this year, because the foundation wanted to partner with our podcast, because we are so welcoming, there are folks from outside who weren't able to go to the dinner who are coming in to watch the podcast, and we're thrilled to have y'all. So welcome home,
Thank y'all.
everybody.
Welcome home to our audience here.
Yes,
I want to let the viewers know that the dinner this evening will be hosted by Roy Wood Jr., amazing comedian.
And a rattler.
And a rattler, absolutely. And Sherry Shepard. And
Actually,
I see
there's
Roy
Roy right
Wood
there.
Jr.
Come here, Roy.
coming
Come here.
down, our
Come here.
first guest of
Come
the
here.
evening. So as Roy
just
is
spoke him
making his
into
way
existence.
to the stage, I want to let you all know he has a new show coming out on CNN. Have I Got News for You? He just taped his first comedy special, which I was privileged to be there live in person and see to a sold-out PAX audience. So give some love to this rattler
Great.
coming in.
Navy.
He and Andrew are kind of dressed alike. Hello, my dear.
Hello.
Have a seat. Roy, we're so happy you're joining us.
Good. I don't have my bow tie on.
Roy and I got the same color.
I see. Y'all are dressed alike. Angela said y'all are
I'll
twinning.
put it on sooner or later.
So what are we? Well, first of all, Roy, how you doing? We so happy to see you host a dinner.
I'm good. I'm just happy my voice survived last week because that was special, and then prepping for CNN and then doing all the media for that.
Watching the
That was a
debate,
ride,
responding to the debate. Yeah.
And the dog who eating the dog.
Yes.
But no, I'm just happy to be. You know how I get around like black folks. And blackness. Because I don't get it normally. Like it's not, I'm in like the mainstream world, and then you be at the Congressional Black Caucus. This is like, what did you say over text? This is like Professional Essence Fest.
Yeah, exactly.
We got all
Professional Essence.
We said Black Prom, Nerd Prom.
I'm going to call it political Wakanda, I feel like.
Political
That's probably right.
Okay, I like that too.
That's probably
I
right.
like it.
I like that too.
it.
So do you change up? How do you alter your approach when going into an environment like this with people who are typically pretty serious about themselves, the world, life?
I feel like
How do you prepare?
I feel like the advantage I have at a black event is that they know me, and you kind of already know. You know my brand. You know I'm not gonna say the all the way wrong thing.
Yeah.
But I ain't regal. I'm not gonna be regal. I would argue though, of everything that I've done this year, hosting that Juneteenth concert at the White House, that was the hardest. That was the hardest event, because the issue with an event like this, it's similar to Juneteenth. Like the White House Correspondents' Dinner, it's understood that I can say the wrong thing and I'm supposed to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Juneteenth and something like this, we are revering people who are fighting against very serious issues and going head-to-head against very heinous people. There are people in this room tonight who get death threats on a regular.
Yeah.
And for their work, we're going to, honor them.
That's right.
So the balance of joke and reverence, and we must also remember racism and the joke.
Yeah.
Like, that balance is more difficult to maintain in an all-black place because black people will hold you accountable in real time if you went too far, one way or the other. So
I was telling the girls yesterday about a story with a well-known person we know here who was in my city, Tallahassee, and we're sitting next to each other on the podium, and the brother didn't stand for the pledge, and about 8 black women, after it was a black event, came up to him, and they just wanted to know why. But we had a debate about whether we'd be offended about being corrected in a place like that. But you've had experience, I'm sure, where you've heard more than what you asked for.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, with black people, it's a critique. It's still a dialogue. It ain't no battle. It's not disrespect. But it's just a matter of when you're going up at an event like this, how do you make sure that you maintain the respect and the reverence for it while also doing humor? And I'm thankful tonight because I have a co-host. So this
Sherry Shepard is co-hosting, but the other interesting...
He wasn't listening to intro.
Right, clearly. But the other interesting thing is, Roy, that the chair of this year's event is Congresswoman Terri Sewell, and you, my friend, are a son of Alabama. So it is a homecoming to the South.
Terri Sewell used to come on my morning show in Birmingham. And I got to give her props because she wasn't just coming on when it was time to grab votes and re-election and blah, blah, blah. There's a connection, and I'm going to talk about it tonight before we bring out Fantasia. But, we had a F5 tornado that came through Alabama. A tornado came from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham, killed 50 people, and it hit one of the blackest parts of town super hard. Terri Sewell was in that thing before sunrise, before the Red Cross pulled up. Same night, Fantasia was supposed to have a show. Could have canceled easily. Hey, y'all had a tornado. I'll come back another time. Stayed, did the show, donated every penny.
No way.
So, the connections between, Fantasia and, Congresswoman Sewell and myself, I'm just like, even to be here with y'all, y'all don't understand. I don't go nowhere. I don't talk. I don't get around people that I don't rock with. So when I'm in a space where I feel like I don't have to look over my shoulder, I don't have to wonder if this is being recorded for some other duplicitous thing. And honestly, working at CNN, and Angela, I might need to talk to you about this because this has opened up a whole nother can of how the energy that people have towards me simply because of the network that you show. It's a Saturday night. It's jokes.
And they be like, ha, ha, hell. I get it.
We ain't even premiered yet.
But I'm not anywhere near as funny as you. But I do want to know if you can give us a little Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I said not in the same category.
I do want to know if you can give us a little preview of a joke you could potentially tell on stage tonight.
I don't know. Here's what it comes down to. And this is a conversation I had with Sherry. How soon until Biden comes in the room before he speaks is kind of the deciding factor. Because I don't know if anyone has been able to look the president in the eyes and go, hey, thank you for what you did. Like, they all did it at the convention in their own way or whatever. But just to be able to stand on the stage and look at him and just go, you are better than me. Because if I put in my 2 months notice, I'm not showing up for no more shifts, baby. This is me trying to get you to let me. This is me telling you I don't want to come. Please fire me. Just let me come. So, to give them props because who put in their notice and then keep showing up.
Right. That's a good point. I never thought about it like that.
Although Trump did say at the debate he sleep till 4 p.m.
He snuck that in. Nobody caught that.
I caught that.
I definitely don't want to.
That's the type of joke, though, that you can only do if he's in the room. Because if he comes up after the fact, that's a sucker move. I know Sherry is going to, have some conversation with the Divine Nine in the room as well. I think she's going to make sure they get their time. I'm not a member of the Divine Nine. I did not have the grades. By the time I had the grade, no, I didn't know they needed a 2.5. Boy,
I don't think anybody, we might have had the grades, but none of us are divine.
Yeah, none of us are great.
Isn't that crazy? This might be defying odds up here.
People always see me and they're like, hey, Soror, and I always have to tell people I'm not Greek.
Yeah, you better not claim it, because then you know they quiz you. Them Greeks like to quiz you.
And definitely make sure you don't make any of their sounds or the signs on air.
I worked with somebody who did that.
I just left it there. You tried to go far. See, I was above the belt, you're below the belt.
It's a non-quotable, y'all. Their sounds are non-quotable.
I want to tell you, Roy, because we texted, but I didn't get a chance to look you in your face and tell you how hilarious you were. I was so honored and privileged to be at your taping. You taped your Hulu special, right? Yeah. It was so, what I loved about your comedy, and I won't give anything away, you guys, please be sure to tune in. I'll let Roy tell you when and where, but I love comedy that makes a point, but also that touches you. You know, and I felt like I was laughing, but I also felt when you talked about connection, I really felt that. So I just want to tell you, I was so proud to be there with you.
Like, we don't interact as a society. Like, we get mad if people call us. Every meeting at your job is on a computer. Yes. There's no employees in the stores anymore. I tried to make chit-chat on the elevator one time. Never again. You used to be able to talk for 3-4 floors in the hotel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't nobody want to talk.
Yeah.
So I that was what I really wanted to drill in on, because what I noticed in watching my mom, and I talk about her a little bit in the special, is that, my mom is 75. She's been in higher ed since she was 25 years old, still working at a black college in Alabama to this day.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna never quit. And I've always been trying to get my mom to quit her job, not understanding that it wasn't just about work for her. It's about maintaining connection with the community and with her people. And so seeing how she's active, and, she's had friends that have passed, and you still, like, I hate to say it, next man up, who I need a new friend.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all got a book club? Cool, I'm in.
Yeah.
So the idea of working to make connections, that's something you have to actively do, the same as cardio every morning, the same as nutrition. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit.
You made that point, but you wrapped it beautifully in humor. Like, we were laughing, but we all kind of looked at each other after, like, we felt really connected. Just because I don't want to forget, I want you to tell the people when and where they can catch this special. Oh,
the Hulu special will be out sometime, I think, near the end of the year. Okay. I think with low-key, I think Hulu's waiting to see how the election goes to decide because what you expect of me is political. Yeah. So, if we are a country in turmoil and riots, then maybe you slide the Roy Wood Jr. special down the calendar a little bit after the riots calm down.
Do you have a prediction on how you think the election will go?
Yes, riots. I think I'm not pro-riot. Let me just say
asking. That. I don't take that part seriously. I don't think they're going to show for him like they once did.
I do not think that Republicans are going to accept the results of this election. I think that Kamala has turned a corner with enough moderates and undecided voters. I think most people at this point that are still undecided, you are intentionally undecided to some degree. This idea that you ain't seen her say nothing about that, go find it. Yeah. You find everything else in your stupid ass.
Y'all are definitely friends. Y'all sound like
you found everything else in your phone. Yeah. So go find the policy that you care about and read up on it and make a decision. So I just do not see when Dick Cheney says that he came. Now you notice in the video he never said Kamala or vote for. He just said I'm not voting for Trump. Yeah. That's gonna be enough for some of them old school Republicans. And maybe they stay home, and even then, in that regard, it's still a vote for Kamala, in my opinion. Yeah. I don't think, though, at the rate at which they're locking up Jan 6 offenders, that we're going to have a new January. There's not going to be another storm in the Capitol. Number one, the National Guard going to be there that time, and they're going to put that thigh out on your ass. You come out there acting stupid. But I think Kamala wins, but I think that we'll have another year of Trump lawsuit nonsense and trying to decertify the election. And I think the thing that we really have to look for in this election is the voter intimidation that I hope doesn't happen in a lot of disenfranchised places. And, you started talking about the way they've redrawn all the districts in these battleground states. To me, that's the bigger factor in this election, is whether or not people will be allowed to even go to the polls.
Yeah. It's interesting because there are like these laws in open carry states that you have like these people guarding the election, and I'm like, I wonder how it would work if a bunch of armed black folks stood out in front of a voting facility in a white neighborhood, then we just here to observe and make sure things go well. I don't think that'll go too well. I think that's the fastest way to change laws. What I want to shout you out also, Roy, because you are a journalist by training, and you
by degree. I don't want you to. I ain't Lester Holt with it, but. I have a degree. I did read. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. But so it makes sense to me that you would have a show on CNN, even if it's a comedy show, because I think you bridge those two things beautifully. And I have always been such a fan of yours, but also just consider you a personal friend. So I'm just so proud to see you here hosting a dinner tonight, and proud to see your comedy special, and proud to see your new show premiere on CNN. And it just feels like it's your season. Yeah. And I'm thrilled to celebrate your season.
No. Y'all are killing it on this damn thing. This has been one of my favorite. You know what's funny? I thought when I left the Daily Show, I'm like, yeah, I'm done with that. I ain't got to be listening to no more politics. I ain't got to keep up. All right, let me go and see what Gillum and them talking about.
Gillum and them.
All right, let me go and download another episode of this. Yeah. All right, let me go and subscribe to this. Subscribe to Native Land and Daily Show, and I'll just keep listening.
We need to cut this as a commercial, right?
Exactly.
Commercial on with you. And Roy, forget the haters, man. The fact that you are bringing to a cable news network, by and large, comedy says so much about who you are, what your record has been, what you've demonstrated. That otherwise pretty conservative network, if I say so, in my limited time having worked with them, would say, you know what, there's room enough to pioneer something new, and so doing and taking this risk, let's find the best out there who can do it.
And I'm thankful for it. And the other beautiful thing about Have I Got News for You is that it's based on a British show that's been on for 35 years.
Wow.
So in the eyes of CNN, it's not a risk. It's just The Office. Let's see what else in Britain we can remix. And you apply it to American politics. It's a quiz show where we don't keep points and no one wins money. And we just talk about the news. It's just questions about the news. So if you like quizzes, if you like the news, it's a simple way to learn about the week that was and infuse a couple of opinions in there. I'm going to get y'all on it. So expect the email.
Although we're very competitive and we like to know who the winner is.
Oh, do you want to tell him who the latest winner was?
The latest winner for really the most thoughtless and thought-unprovoking bet that we accepted was whether or not Trump would
take this victory lap so you can see this dress.
Take the bet and debate Kamala.
we
but
said,
he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Take the bet
for a second for a
second
for Vice President Harris and Donald Trump to meet on a debate stage at all. I said that's never going to happen. He'll find every excuse not to show up. And Andrew was with me, and Andrew was like, "No, I think it's going to happen." And so we said, "Let's bet." So Angela has won not one but two dinners because she said, no, I bet both of you all. So that doesn't mean that we go out
and
once.
And the bill was so high last night.
We split it.
Consolidate.
It was so high. We went to split it.
That just means y'all got to split another dinner.
Yeah, that's what we said. We said
it's okay. I love you guys. I'm not going to take all your money.
A black-owned restaurant at a black
Kwame. Shout out to Kwame.
Shout out to Chef Kwame. Nobody can get a reservation there for months.
Dogon
accommodated us at Dogon. So we were happy.
Y'all can't be running up this man bill. He got a home.
3 children.
I know. Jay, I'm sorry, but he lost the bet. He lost the bet, Jay. He lost the bet.
RJ going to be going over that credit card.
Right. See, I used the one she get the bill
out here in these streets?
Right.
Jay, it was me. I was greedy. I was very greedy. I ate everything on the menu because I won.
She ordered everything.
Roy, what is your prep time? Like, what are you doing up there? When you leave us and go back to backstage, is there
It's so much show tonight that there's not a lot of space. Sherry and I have identified 2 pockets where we can do maybe like 2 to 3 minutes of bits.
Wow.
Everything else is getting the people on the stage, getting them honored and keeping it moving so that people can get back to mingling. Because what we also have to remember is that for a lot of our elected officials, this is the first time where they can just come sit and kick back and just on some class reunion.
That's
what
true.
have you been up to this year?
Yeah.
Right.
Type of stuff. So, this is the lowest level of prep I've done this year. I can't wait. This is how chill I am. I'm tempted to have a drink before I present.
Do it.
I absolutely will not. Absolutely
you have
will not.
earned it, Roy, if you want. I do want to let the folks know, because I don't know if they can see, but behind us, It is a ball. It looks like a Wakanda ball. As Angela said, this is what'd you call it? Wakanda?
Oh, political Wakanda.
Political Wakanda.
Beautiful.
It is a bevy of beautiful black people in floor-length evening gowns. You know how the hair
Tuxedo.
and the
I see my
tuxedos.
friend Robert Primus, who's
Red
always been known
carpets,
for
Yes,
the
repeat.
it is
We got bright
every
orange.
member of the Congressional Black Caucus. President Biden will obviously be here tonight. Vice President Harris, or President-elect Harris, if we want to speak it into existence, will be here tonight speaking. Some of the members of the press pool, we've already seen them arrive early, anticipating her arrival. Secret Service is all around us. So I just want to bring you guys into what we're witnessing and experiencing here tonight, because it really is truly a night to make history. This will be the first time that Vice President Harris addresses this crowd as the nominee for the next president of the United States. A dinner hosted by comedian Roy Wood Jr., co-hosted with Sherry Shepard. And it's just a night of beautiful black excellence, and I'm so thrilled to share this evening with my beautiful co-host. Angela got this dress shipped in from Wakanda. It was a 3-week back order, and it's beautiful. Andrew is wearing, it might look black, but he and Roy are wearing the same colors with navy blue and black.
True.
What a beautiful evening to be here with you guys. I feel like all of a sudden we're doing the preview on E before the Oscars.
Yes.
How have you all been in terms of, because I know for the podcast and the prep I imagine you have to do, it's take in all of the bad stuff and then decide what bad stuff we will talk about and what bad stuff we will not. Have you figured out a way yet to only consume what you need in terms of what you want to present to your listeners? Or do you still have to take in every terrible thing? And if so, what's your system? What's your mental health?
This is a really great opportunity to pub a podcast that we did. We did a mini pod where we actually had a battle. Tiff and I have never gotten an argument. We got in an argument that day about whether or not we should put something out. I thought she was saying something she wasn't, but it was like, I feel like we need to listen to everything that's happening. It was about Black Trump supporters, and I wanted to hear it because I thought I couldn't even wrap my mind around it, but it was the same thing for me that was like the trigger of the trauma of 2016. So I was like, we have to be aware of this, because I was oblivious to it in 2016, and I think Andrew and Tiff, who agreed, were both like, we don't have to go about it this way though. So it was a whole battle, but I think what's good about the battle is there are a lot of folks who have family members who have that same conversation in that same way every time they get together, whether it was a picnic over the summer or if it's about to be Thanksgiving dinner. Hopefully this man, well, I'm trying to be as nonpartisan as possible because it's the foundation, but in my personal capacity, I hope this man doesn't win.
Yeah.
And that's, kind of what we're up against. So we try to figure out every week. I think Tiffany does a good job of challenging us to not sound like every other news network and making sure that we're providing information to our listeners who sometimes don't get those stories. They're below the fold, or they're in the B section or the Z section, meaning they did not get in there. And she will go and find them and make sure that we are talking about those things. So I'm grateful for you, Tiff.
I'm grateful for you guys. And
Andrew.
Andrew.
No, welcome to my world.
He does this every time.
I know where I
He
stand.
knows
I know where I stand with these two.
He gets baby.
But I did want to say this, to be very honest, it has evolved a number of times, and we've only done 40 episodes up to this point, around show format. How do we prepare? And our preparation is very different in between the three of us. And then, if I could be even more honest, our show flow right now is like, what you feeling? What you feeling?
It's organic.
What you feeling?
Like, we don't really plan.
And talk about it.
And every time we do a call before the show just to check in with each other, and we're constantly saying, we're podding, like, don't talk about this. I want the audience to feel like they're in the room with us. And if we, if we are too prepared, then it doesn't work. And as a journalist, obviously, I'm still reading 8-9 papers every morning, so I have not figured out how to only consume what I need. But I just have curiosity about a lot of things. So
I enjoy reading local news. I like reading local papers and local sections, but the problem now is that with the way that local newspapers are being gobbled up by larger outlets, a lot of local stories are the same across multiple cities.
Everywhere. That's right.
So you might have 3 true local stories. I have a friend that's a reporter for Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He was talking to me how they cut down their local reporter pool to an even lower number. And it's like, okay, well, now who do you have covering all of those stories? So it's
real.
It's happening everywhere. That's why your show coming on CNN is so important, because it makes news accessible. Your comedy special, whenever it airs, we're excited about it.
Well, thank you, friend.
And just everything that you have going on, Roy. Your previous pastors have not figured it out yet. I think they lost a gem when they lost you. But I'm just happy that your fans, and there are so many, will get to experience and hear you on an ongoing basis.
Well, every Saturday night, 9 p.m. CNN, streaming next day on Max. We're talking about the news of the week and some of the hole in the wall. And let me also stress, lastly, the show is not just political news. Like, it could be the debate, but also Shannon Sharpe was laying pipe on Instagram Live.
Wow, Roy. And on that note, you got a show to prepare for.
I'm just saying, we are covering a range of topics.
Yes.
Let me tell you what you not go see going live on Native Land Pod. Right. Hi, Roy. You're not about to get us in trouble.
Roy, good luck tonight. We're so proud.
Shout out to iHeart Media and Black Effect Network, Charlemagne.
My mom and daddy about to walk
Roy
up
couldn't
here.
make that joke later, so he gave it to us.
He's like, I gotta throw one out before I go. Molotov cocktail.
And I hope somebody
let me do a Shannon Sharpe joke tonight. How you think that'll go?
Oh, Lord.
I'm not.
Let it go. Let it go.
Don't do that.
Dignitaries in there.
Don't do that, Roy. Thank you, Roy.
Well, you can't be walking around by yourself. You got a crowd of people waiting for you up there.
Oh, my gosh.
Roy.
We are thrilled at this time. Thank you, Roy. We appreciate you. We're thrilled at this time to bring up a very, very special guest. Melonie Parker is the Chief Diversity Officer.
Roy, you forgot your phone, my brother.
You might need that phone, Roy. I'm going to redo this intro, even though we're live. Our good friend Melonie Parker, who is at Google, and she is the Chief Diversity Officer there, is joining us to talk about this very, very special occasion and some of the great things they have going on to make an impact in the community at Google. Hi, Melonie.
Hi.
And I love your dress.
It's
beautiful.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited about tonight, excited about all the Black excellence all around us. So it's a great night.
Yes, it is.
Well, we're happy to have you. I think one thing, sorry, Andrew, if you had a question, I'll ask it quickly. A lot of people, we hear Chief Diversity Officer all the time, but I think so many people out there don't always know exactly what a Chief Diversity Officer does. Tell us what your role is exactly, tangibly at Google.
So my role at Google, I've been in my role for 5 years, so I know there's a meme out there. 5 years I've been in my role at Google. But what I do, I look after Google's internal workforce, and that is to make sure that people not just feel like they belong, but feel that they can bring all of who they are in the workplace. And that's not just, heart and head. That's really about, I'm looking after how we're hiring, how we're promoting, how we're providing developmental assignments. I'm looking at who's leaving, and are they leaving at, the same rate across communities? Are they looking at different rates? And then I'm looking after who's coming into Google over the next 10 to 15 years, and what programs do we need to have externally? What does our creator base look like? What is our user base? We have over 1 billion users. What does that look like? And how does that ecosystem all work together to make sure that we're meeting people just as they are, where they are in that moment? And I have a global team that helps me do that well every day.
Melonie, speaking of some of the impact that you all are making, you all had quite the event recently during this conference, Changemakers. Talk about how important it is to invest and support some of those folks outside. You talked about your role inside, but what's your impact on the outside as well?
Externally, our goal is to build sustainable equity, not just internally, as you said, Angela, but externally as well. So Changemakers allows us to give voice often to a community that may not have voice. What we typically find when we look at Black and brown voices is that you're either hyper visible or you're invisible, and in between that's a whole lot of stress. And so we want to normalize elevating change makers, and we want people to know they have to feel empowered to have voice. It's when you don't have voice that we have, horrible leadership, that we're, by being silent, we're actually giving way to change that's not progressive. So that's what Change Makers is really all about. So we look to curate spaces and rooms where we can bring people together.
Yeah.
Melonie, a lot of, at least as of late, there's been quite a political attack on diversity, inclusion, what it means to have diverse workforces. Obviously, I don't mean for you to tell on your own company, but amongst your group of peers, could you just shine a light for us? Let us sit on the floor of y'all's couch conversation and share a little bit about what folks who are in that space are feeling, experiencing. Are they feeling like the best approach for survival is to step back in the work and maybe make it more, I guess you'd say, for everybody and not just for or directed toward a particular group of employees? So
let me start with the incredible work that, we have long standing at Google. So we've, long been committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we're leaders and we're learners. And we do both transparently. We just published our 11th diversity annual report in the spring. And in the back of that, when we talk about our progress, which includes, just historic levels of bringing underrepresented communities, which are women, people with disabilities. We look across minority communities as well. But we put that in an appendix. So we have the largest publicly available DEI data set, and we use BigQuery to open source it. So there's no mystery in what our numbers are. You can look at them year over year, and we put it in a very easy format because we want you not just to, look at where we lead, but look at where we're learning and the opportunity space for all of us.
Can I ask you, Can I ask you, we have witnessed this massive pulling back of DEI efforts, and here we are at this Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. You look out here, you see a sea of beautiful blackness, but for some reason our blackness is treated as inherently violent and criminal on the outside. So we got this push forward in 2020 and this severe retraction since then. How have you been able, personally and professionally, Melonie, because you're such a leader, you are always a shining example. Even today, like, you have this glow, that's her all the time. It's not makeup, y'all, this is literally her. I want you to talk briefly about how you were able to sustain and, in fact, grow through that retraction.
Well, I'm not surprised by some of the things that we see, because whenever we have progress, we have people who are looking at how do you get to that progress, and so that's what we see. How I stay focused and how I encourage others, look at the data. What does your data say? Like, we're data informed, and one of the things I say is, like, I exist and my organization exists to close gaps. And how am I going to find those gaps? I'm going to look at the data. So I'm not disheartened by looking to my left or my right. I'm really looking forward, and where do I need to continue to close those gaps, make that progress, and really meet people where they are. And people really need us to continue to create safe spaces to bring them together.
Melonie, I'm interrupting for 2 seconds.
My parents are here.
Rye, please. Mama and Papa Rye are also staples here at the Congressional Black Caucus.
Have to give them their tickets.
Legislative conference, and they're looking for their tickets for dinner. So we would be remiss if we did not have Papa Rye come by. Come by and get on the mic, Papa Rye.
This is what he's going to. Y'all, I just want you to know this is what my dad's going to do. He's not going to follow directions.
Her dad all the
time. He might be related to Andrew.
Go have a seat.
Dad, come this way,
You are
Daddy.
in front of the camera.
Come this way, Dad. Come this way. Would you like?
And look at Angela's beautiful mom. Mama Rye and Papa Rye are here. You're on camera. You look beautiful. You look so beautiful tonight.
You look gorgeous. We're in the middle of an interview.
We're live, and we
love you so
much.
We
wanted to have a cameo from Mama and Papa Rye. Say hi to everybody.
We can't go back.
That's right. Let Mama Rye say
okay. I just want to remind everyone that this is a nonpartisan conference.
We're not going back.
I love love it.
In case anybody wanted to know why I'm so hard-headed. Thank you all so much for being here. It's a pleasure.
Perfect.
You're going to stay on set. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you,
Mama
Mama
Rye.
and Papa Rye. We love you. We'll see you inside at the dinner.
I love it.
Melanie, we had to, she had to get her parents their tickets. So
I have 4 generations of women that live in my house, from 1.5-year-old granddaughter to my 87-year-old mother.
Wow.
This is like
This is
being
a
at
grandmother,
home.
y'all.
Welcome home.
This is when you say
They're
that.
like, what are the rules?
Right. But it's funny you say that because you look gorgeous, and we have beautiful grandmothers in our community, of course. But I'm always bringing up when Donald Trump said, well, I thought, he was talking about Vice President Harris. I thought she was a lot younger. Turns out she's 60. Like, he's going to learn a whole lot about how black women show up in this country physically and literally.
Yes.
I want to jump in and ask a quick policy question, if I could, because something that that I have a personal interest in is AI. And I'm curious how Google might navigate the changing AI, particularly through the lens of diversity when it comes to black folks. And I know we've got some other guests waiting by, and I know you got to get to the dinner. So that's a quick question before we let you go.
So really, our goal here is to build sustainable equity. That's the same thing that we want to do with AI. And so, we want to move responsibly. And sometimes that means you don't move as fast as you're looking at that responsibly. And we're looking, particularly when you look at like black community and brown communities and other underrepresented groups, we know there are 2 sides to a coin. One, do no harm. And the other side of that is leave no community behind. Mm-hmm. So we've developed a set of AI principles. A part of those principles is ensuring, the ethical responsibility that we have. And some of the work, like I lead a HBCU President's Council, and with Howard University, we have our AI research project with them where they own all the licensing rights, and it's called Project Elevate Black Voices, because our own research and external research shows that automatic speech recognition doesn't recognize all the dialect that exists in the black culture. And so Howard is seeking to, with their own student body and our researchers, they are getting firsthand experience in how to develop the research that will support the technology recognizing the dialect a little bit better. We have a $5 million grant we put at Spelman. Dr. Gale will be at our Google table today, so come give her a shout out. But those are the types of things that we're doing on that front. And lastly, I'll say we worked with the Divine Nine, the Links Incorporated, and Dress for Success to really train 100,000 black women.
Wow.
But of course, our community, we've now trained over 200,000 black women.
Wow.
We're still going strong. Delta Sigma Theta has been out in front, really, embracing and taking this technology out to the communities that they serve. And so we're really proud of the effort.
We love it. Thank you so much,
Thank
Melonie.
you.
We are so grateful to have you. Enjoy the dinner. This is my favorite time of the year. I always tell people my favorite moment is when the members walk across the
That's
stage.
my favorite moment, too. And last night I saw Representative Jasmine Crockett, and I said, I'm going to be so excited to see you and the other freshman representatives walk across that stage.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Melonie. It's our honor. Thank you for partnering with us.
It's my 24th CBC. I just thought about that.
Gosh.
24 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah. There ought to be some sort, and next year is going to be your 20th, so we need to do like a...
Something special.
Yeah.
Your 25th and my
25th and
20th.
20th, yeah.
While we're sitting here, you all, we're waving at people. There's folks coming by above us on either side. And then behind us, there are full long lines. We just had such a great conversation about the importance of DEI, especially when it's under attack. And this woman is standing strong, fighting to ensure that our voices are and our presence is represented in tech as it continues to evolve and change. We have a few more guests coming, and part of what's happening
One of them is here.
Oh,
we have Dr.
my
Kendi
goodness.
here.
I didn't see him. He's hiding behind the camera.
Come on and join us.
We have a legend
Dr.
joining
Kendi.
us. Dr. Ibram Kendi, one of my favorite people, and also Andrew is going to get to sit next to him. This is the second Rattler that we've had on the program already.
Nice to see you, Dr. Kendi.
Hello.
How are you? It's wonderful to see you.
How are you?
How are you?
As he's taking his seat. this New York Times best-selling author and intellectual luminary. We are so pleased to have you, a thought leader, here tonight. We see Jamie Harrison up above, chair of the Democratic National Conference.
Jamie!
We love to
Hi,
see
Clay.
Jamie Harrison.
Hi, y'all. Oh, Erica's right there.
And Erica Alexander, actress Erica Alexander.
Hi, Robin.
And Congresswoman Robin Kelly. We see you. You all, of course, remember Erica Alexander, who played Maxine Shaw on Living Single. Some of y'all pursued law degrees because of her. She was also Cousin Pam on The Cosby Show. So a beautiful night of luminaries indeed. Back to you, Dr. Kendi. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I'll let the Rattler kick us off.
Appreciate it. Well, welcome, Doc.
Okay, Rattler.
Good to see you as always. I saw you had a post trying to help all of us struggle with and comprehend the significance of Donald Trump's and the Republican Party's repeated mythology, I don't know what the hell to call it, but around the eating of pets. I want you, if you wouldn't mind, just help us sort of see that, I think, in a much more grounded and concrete and really important way, because I think it's easy to make jokes and memes without assessing the impact that it may have on the greater community.
Well, I think it's part of a larger project to criminalize black people more broadly. But their specific target, obviously, were Haitian immigrants. And in Springfield, Ohio, you have longtime black residents who are also being sort of demonized and racially profiled, as a result of what they've said about those, people presumably eating pets. And so I just tried to show that when you demean one black group, what ultimately happens is you demean every black group. And I think it's important for us to not think, let's say if you are not a Haitian immigrant, but you're black, to think, no, that's just them. No, ultimately it's going to boomerang back to you.
That's real. That's real. We have that a lot in Florida, Ibram. I know you know that, but because of the immigrant community, the expanding Caribbean, Afro-Latino, Haitian community, so on and so forth, you will hear at the higher education level folks saying, I'm not, African American, I'm not black, I'm Haitian, or I'm this. And I think black people do this, American-born black folks do similarly. And I just thought your message was poignant, because I always felt that if they're going after Haitians, they don't know the difference largely between any one of us. Yeah. It's not okay to go after Haitians, period, but certainly when you consider that this is an attack on all of us, that we all have to say something and do something about it.
And it's interesting because it just harkens me back to this speech that Malcolm X actually gave. I believe it was in 1962 after police sort of barged into the LA mosque and ended up killing some members of the nation. And he gave this sort of funeral speech. And during that funeral speech, that's when he's well known for saying the most disrespected person in America today is the black woman.
Yeah.
But in that speech, he also speaks to black people and says, who taught you to hate yourself? And I'm referencing that because, you can ask African Americans, well, who taught you to hate black immigrants?
Yeah.
Who you can ask black immigrants, who taught you to hate African Americans?
That's right.
And so what happens is you have different groups of black folks seeing other groups of black folks through the eyes of racist white people.
I love that.
And don't even know it.
Yeah.
That's real.
I think that's such a legitimate point. How have you found, because the last time you were in the news, we were all ready to come to your defense. How have you found navigating this space? Because it does feel like it is such a visceral attack. This kind of racial reckoning that mostly white-run newsrooms introduced. What we've actually witnessed is more of a hostile backlash, a swift and hostile backlash to that. So in this age of how to be an anti-racist and contributing what you can to society and I think all of us have been on the receiving end of such visceral attacks. How have you found navigating life personally, professionally, politically, all of it?
I mean, it's difficult.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's most difficult when I see attacks that those who are obviously trying to conserve racism create and launch, and people that I love sort of repeat those ideas, sort of not knowing it. I think that's when it's sort of most painful. What's ironic even about comparing this to the last question about what's going on with those Haitian immigrants is you had this sort of viral series of sort of reports with no evidence. Like there was no evidence, right? And I think for those of us who've been targeted in the media for doing something where there's no evidence, because apparently like our skin color is evidence enough, I mean, it becomes hard. Like, can you present some portion of evidence to substantiate this claim that's sort of more or less delegitimizing our work as a scholar, our work as an elected official, our work, as a commentator. And for typically black people, you don't need evidence. And I think that's what's incredibly painful for black people who are in the public light.
Yeah.
Ibram, first of all, I just want to tell you thank you. Because no matter what, any time that I've called on you, you've been there. And I wanted to start there because I think that is an essential component, an essential ingredient for community. And I'd love to know, in this era that we're in right now, given the quality of the work you do, the significance of the work you do, what our community can do to really come together to not only support you, to support each other in our collective advancement and liberation.
I really think we have to, I think to support sort of my work or even others, I think we have to be more results oriented. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to be more sort of evidence based, going back to what I was just, talking about. And I'm saying that to say, even in my book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, I ended up defining an activist as someone with a record of power and policy change. So a person can't just say one day, I'm an activist.
Yeah.
Right. What is your record? What organizations have you built? What institutions, have you created? What campaigns have you launched to, reduce levels of housing insecurity, in your community? And I think we have to be more outcome oriented, more results oriented, because especially in a moment in which those who are trying to conserve racism are so intent focused.
Yeah.
We have to be outcome focused.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of symbolism, right? And even when it comes to the presidency, we, have seen the election of President Barack Obama, and looking at that through the lens of policy, we can judge his presidency. I think at this point, for a lot of younger people, President Obama was the floor, not the ceiling. And so now younger people have a lot more demands of our leaders. We're beyond the role of symbolism. So I think that's so true. What is your prediction for what may happen in November and what this landscape might look like in this country? Because when he was elected, it was like, oh, we're post-racial now, which we all kind of laughed at that ridiculous notion of that. What might we see? What might await us under a President Kamala Harris?
Well, it's interesting because many people have talked about the importance, obviously, of this election. And, as an historian, let me just say I can attest to that. I can't think of this election in 2024, particularly for black folks, without thinking of the election of 1864. And this was an election between a candidate who more or less planned to end the Civil War and pretty much re-enslave black people, and a candidate that presumed that he was going to continue the Civil War. I mean, it really is that stark, particularly when you look at the candidacy of Donald Trump and what he has planned, particularly for black folks. And so I think it's important for us to understand those stakes, especially when you look at some of the candidates who are sort of allying with Trump internationally, and when you look at what they've done when they've gotten a second term or when they've gotten a second presidency. This is a critical moment in the history of Black life in this country, and really in the history of the United States.
I just want to take a.
That you're going to note that there are 3 rattlers?
I was just getting ready to say there are now 3 rattlers on the stage, and there was already a 4th one. Roy Wood Jr. has already left us. Oh, Andrew's going to be completely hood and go ahead and do the selfie in the middle of the show. They not like us. That's so rude. So rude. Why do we say that at the same time? It is rude. Anyway, let me just take this moment to announce and welcome our dear brother, Vince Evans, who is the Congressional Black Caucus Executive Director. And he is looking rather dapper.
Dapper boy. Dapper.
Bring the mic close to you so we can.
Is that better?
That's so much better. Vince.
Hello.
Hello.
I have waited a long time to get to this table.
Oh, man, get out of here.
Welcome home.
I mean, to be with the 3 of y'all.
He didn't come to DNC. He know dang well. We told Vince to come out for DNC.
Come on, we're waving.
But this is a big week.
Go.
This is a big week for Vince, not just because of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's annual legislative conference, but also, and Ibram, it's perfect that you're here because the Congressional Black Caucus just released a report and a report card on diversity, equity, inclusion efforts in the corporate space. So talk a little bit about that, Vince, and why you all were so focused on that work.
It's a good question. DE&I, when they try to roll it back and attack DE&I, they're attacking you and I, as y'all know. 10 months, produced a report, got corporate America, more than a third of corporate America, to respond. First ever report of its kind. And what we found is this. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a good business imperative. That's what corporate America says. Most of them are still committed to it. The realities are they are getting attacked because people can't get laws through the Congress. They are going to the courts to get the laws, the bad laws passed that they want. So the CBC is doing a two-front here, right? Defensive work, holding those accountable who are taking away the tools of economic opportunity. We've heard the Vice President in recent days talk about an economic opportunity that she will advance around housing, work, and wages when she is elected the next President of the United States. And then we're doing the offensive work, which is to make certain that we close America's racial wealth gap. So that report released this week begins to serve as a grounding, if you will, and a resource for all of those out there who say they care about these issues. So we're going to hold you accountable to it.
I love that. And a guidepost, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for those who, unfortunately, you lived in a state with a governor who is taken to the university system.
Yep.
And, I mean, Ibram encountered him. He hit me first, then he came for you. You and your books and trying to pull resources that tell the true history of the black experience in America to kids. They don't want any of that.
That's
and
right.
I'm curious how it is that we get our political space back realigned to such a way that the floor isn't so damn low, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're subterranean now.
Yeah.
When we say benchmarks against one another, even in our own, in the state of Florida, you're comparing folks who generally don't want us in the same building, the same space, the same room.
Yep.
And then others who say if you're going to be there, it won't be through any support.
Yeah. The illusion of inclusion, right?
Right.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Look, I think I was listening earlier today. I was Black Sheep. The choice is yours came on the radio.
Yes.
You can get with this, or you can get with that.
Yeah.
This November, 52 days, I think. We got 52 days to wake up. You can either get with this, which is about protecting our rights, not rolling them back. As y'all know, I'm preaching to the choir, but the choir needs a tune-up every now and then, right? Making certain that we do not allow DE&I roll back. Making certain that we finally get the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act passed. Doing all the things that we know are our North Stars as black people, let's say black in America. Or you can get with this over here or that. Which is all the attacks, all the things you just said, all the books that are being rolled back. You cannot read or Amanda Gorman's poem in the state of Florida. So we got a lot of work to do. You know that. I don't know that we have an answer yet about how we raise the ceiling over time. But we got to win some. You cannot govern if you do not win, as you used to say.
Vince told me before he got on he had to go. Ibram squeezed us in. We love y'all. We appreciate you for being here.
Thank you. We love y'all.
All these rattlers.
Rattler, something to buy or something. and while they're, thank you guys so much for being here. While they're leaving, we are welcoming up Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. She is the incoming chair for the Congressional Black Caucus. She's been in congressional leadership a long time.
Congresswoman.
And she is extraordinary. We first met while she was on the Homeland Security Committee as a freshman, and watching her rise has been my greatest privilege and honor. Congresswoman Clarke, thank you so much for being here with us today.
I want to add that she's one of the most fashionable members of Congress, as well, has always been super fly, and a member of Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority Incorporated. And on a personal note of privilege, you have always been so supportive of me. So I want to thank you publicly for that. So we love you and happy. Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Wonderful. It's such an honor to be with you. And I do want to make a correction. I am the first vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, and I'm seeking the support of my colleagues
Well,
to
I
become
endorse
the
this
next chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. But you know, you put it,
We
you
like to claim things.
speak it into being.
Well, here's what I know.
Absolutely.
Here's what I know, and I want to say this to you. Of course, that race is not partisan, and also we're in the clear here. What I want to say to you, to your face, Ms. Clarke, is as long as I worked on the Hill, and even after, I know how long you've served diligently, how much you love your colleagues, how much you love the culture, how much you love your constituents, how much you adore our community. And so I am confident that you will be the next chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. And I know I've seen your service, you know, firsthand, and I loved laboring with you because you made everything fun. And we still worked hard, but you always kept a smile on your face, and I'm grateful for that, and for your sisterhood, too.
Thank you so much, my sisters. And Andrew, it's such a pleasure to be here
It's
with
good to
you.
be with you. I was going to tell you, I told Congresswoman Maxine Waters when we were together at the DNC how growing up in Florida in Gainesville, how I didn't know my member of Congress, and it was a white male at the time, and how because of her advocacy, I always felt like she was my member of Congress. You're the next member of Congress who really puts it in the mold of, I don't have to be a New York resident in your district to know that you're out there fighting for us.
Absolutely.
And so I know our listeners feel that way. I know I personally feel that way. And I'm thankful for your leadership, and high time that a voice like yours helms again the CBC.
I want. Oh,
Thank
sorry.
you. Thank you all so very much. I appreciate it, and I love my people. At the baseline, it starts with the love of your people, and you will go, through the fire to make sure that they are safe, they are protected, they are thriving.
That's real.
Yes.
In this society.
You do that every day. I want to ask you, we're talking about this election in less partisan ways because, we want to protect the 501c3 status of the foundation.
Absolutely.
But one thing I wanted to raise is there are a lot of concerns impacting our community specifically going into this election. And we're not talking about who to vote for necessarily right now, but I think we all want to preserve democracy. There are a lot of threats at stake, and you, for a long time, cybersecurity has been your bread and butter. You know that space. What are you most concerned about for Black folks going into this election cycle?
Absolutely. I'm concerned that our extreme, devotion to social media puts us in a place where misinformation and disinformation can permeate our thoughts. And so oftentimes what we're seeing is not accurate. They're deep fakes, technology used to intentionally deceive people. That can be visual and it can be audio as well. And this will be the first election where this technology is at the fingertips of the average everyday American. Yeah. Not to mention foreign adversaries. Sure.
Yes.
And so I'm just concerned, given the tone and tenor of this particular election cycle, some would call it desperation, others would call it overly ambitious, that there will be those types of disruptions to our election. And it doesn't have to be information regarding candidates. It could be your polling site is closed.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
The date of the election.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting you bring that up because it shows how powerful we are as a people in this country first, but second, as a voting bloc, because we are disproportionately targeted by misinformation and disinformation. I would argue perhaps second only to the Latino community. And a lot of these outlets don't have native Spanish speakers to help dispute some of the disinformation. So we want to encourage our viewers out there, share responsibly, consume information responsibly. What are some things that you would encourage people to do? Like how do they make sure that they're not consuming misinformation and disinformation, and what role is the Congressional Black Caucus in using
that same device provides us the opportunity to fact check.
Yes.
Right? So don't just receive content and not then do a little due diligence around it.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't sound right, it probably isn't right.
Right, that's right.
And oftentimes we know that the information we receive can be flawed.
Yeah.
And we don't want to inadvertently participate in the spread of that. And that's what generative AI can do in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage our folks to use that same device when you receive something on social media to investigate.
Yeah.
You do your own fact checking.
Yeah, I love that.
Have you considered, I know you've got to bounce, I'm so sorry. Have you considered the feeling what the work becomes if you are negotiating as CBC chair with a black woman president who's overly qualified and all the other good stuff? But I don't want us to sit in a moment that we're not at yet. But I would love to hear your pre-thought.
I'm extraordinarily excited about, first of all, what the Biden-Harris administration has already done. They've made monumental investments, and the CBC has been a major part of negotiating those investments, knowing that the need for those investments to hit our communities is paramount, and that we're turning the page. We are already turning the page. The question is, will we go back? Will all of those investments be dismantled? And we say, no, it won't. We say, not on our watch. And just knowing that this, I want to say sister, is a new get both of us were born in the same year. I won't go into those details, but you can Google it. Use your Google machine. We were born as beneficiaries of the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
We were not, the young people that marched or the young people that were hosed. We were the beneficiaries. And that meant that, the world was our oyster because our ancestors truly did what needed to be done in order to advance our communities.
Yeah.
We now have someone with that frame to move us forward.
Yeah.
And certainly among CBC members, we've got a intergenerational body. And that is a unique blend in this century. We are, I believe, at the precipice of manifesting a whole new paradigm of a civil society.
Yeah.
It already exists. There are those who are in denial about the existence. But as a result of what our ancestors did, we probably have the most educated black community in a generation. That's not to say that there is major work that has to be done, because we got to raise the bar. And I think that's where the fear that we are experiencing that has been weaponized against us is coming from. So stay tuned.
Thank you. And I just want to let you know, because I know you've got to get to the dinner, but the comments on our YouTube Live, everyone is commenting about your glasses and your nails. I told y'all she's the most fashionable. So thank you so much, Congresswoman Clarke, for being here. Love having you.
Much continued success.
Yes, we can't wait to have you back in all your capacities.
I'm looking forward to it.
I am so excited about the guest tonight, Angela, and I'm excited because I see some people waiting in the wings.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to talk to these ladies.
We have some superstars that are coming up to join us right now. Some of y'all are sadly really narrow-minded about one of these ladies' contributions to not only the discourse, but to the political ecosystem. She is representing our interests all day long in committee hearing after committee hearing and markup after markup. She is on the House floor making sure that our positions are heard, that we are represented fully, and she even gets on Twitter and breaks down what's really going on or what should be going on because it's not going on. I'm not going to get too partisan up in here because, like I said, we are at the CBC Foundation Annual Legislative Conference, but we are joined by Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, and there's another superstar. Let me tell you, they are a gift and they are dressed like Christmas, okay? Right. So here we go. This wasn't even planned, but we are joined by District Attorney, Fulton County District Attorney, Fani Willis, who's also here with us tonight. So Jasmine and Fani, welcome. We are so happy to have you both.
We got A-Town down and H-Town down. D-Town, Dallas, I'm sorry. Look at me.
The whole state.
D-Town, yes. We are so excited to have you, ladies. Jasmine, you might be a three-timer on this show. You a return guest.
I like
y'all look gorgeous.
With native land.
We love having you. The viewers love having you.
Well, we say welcome home. She said I'm at home, so here we are.
Welcome home.
Absolutely right.
I want to, because Jasmine's been here before, so I do want to start off with Madam District Attorney Fani Willis. We were locked, glued. We were so, just cheering for you. So before I ask you anything, I just want to say thank you for standing on the front lines of democracy. I do want to let you know that I have stolen your quote no matter what the situation is. If I'm running late for a flight, I always say, no, you're confused. You think I'm the one running for late, but y'all are confused because these are the people trying to make me miss my flight. Of course, I'm taking that from her when she said, you're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election. So thank you for your work. How are you doing personally and professionally?
I'm excellent. I am actually at the happiest time in my life. I think people would find that surprising, but I am living my dream. There is nothing more that I want to be than the District Attorney of Fulton County, Georgia. Fulton County is my home. The work is important. It is important that we have people that really represent the values of the community and understand that everyone in a community gets to be safe. So I'm happy there. I have two beautiful daughters. They're just getting to that age where their brain works, 25 and 26. I got an accuracy. Right. That is an accurate statement. I've been raising these beautiful daughters, and so I know that to be true. I'm going to be a grandmother. My personal life is good, and so I am excellent. No matter how hard they come from me, they mad because I'm doing good over here.
Right. Congratulations on becoming a grandmother. That's amazing. They try to throw us off our game all the time, but try as they might, it don't work. You of all people know that, Congresswoman Crockett.
Absolutely.
I love this dress that you're wearing tonight, by the way.
So listen, I think it's so great. First of all, I love Fani for so many different reasons. But as someone who's always been more so in the public defender side of things, I can tell you that I've always appreciated a good prosecutor, right?
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. Some people make mistakes. Some people are simply, dealing with circumstances of life and end up in some kind of circumstances. But having a prosecutor that sees people as just that, people, is really important. And as we are going through this election, all I can think about is that there is a prosecutor in the race, right? But one of the things that is really difficult to get people to do is to see and value her as someone who's literally just always stood for the people.
That's right.
Because that's what Fani does. Her job isn't to go after a certain person or a certain type of person. It's to look to see if someone has broken the law and to stand for the people of Fulton County. And so I am so appreciative for all of the prosecutors that actually do their job, which is to seek justice and not convictions. Yeah. And so we need to make sure that we're continually educating our community about what a prosecutor is supposed to look like. Yeah. It's supposed to seek out justice. And sometimes situations just aren't just. But as they are standing in the gap, they are the highest law enforcement agent in those counties.
It's real.
And so it is important that you have someone that does not misuse or abuse that power, but instead harnesses that power and makes sure that they are standing for the community. And so I'm just excited that I get to sit next to her and we get to bring Christmas early.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, y'all. I have one question for you. Fani, it's something I think about all the time. In law school, when they came to recruit, district attorneys, prosecutors would come to recruit. I was like, I can't do that. That's where my people end up going. What was the thing for you that was like, no, this is exactly where I need to be? What was the thing that clicked for you?
So that's really interesting. If you know my history, I was actually raised by a defense attorney.
Yep.
My father practiced criminal defense. As a child, I was dragged to courtrooms.
By the way, you know, I told you yesterday, that's your daddy and my daddy could be friends. I love that guy.
I got to meet your daddy. America got to meet your daddy. We love him.
Yes. And so I always wanted to be a defense attorney, right? I wanted to be like my father. What happened was I was actually young, married, had 2 young children, and I was like, let me go see about being a prosecutor. And what I have learned is, and it is not that I am better than any defense attorney, it is that I am in position. And so I tell people all the time, I have probably been able to help more people charged with crimes than any individual defense attorney because I sit in a seat where we make those decisions.
Yeah.
And so I'm able to have an office. When I took my office, literally the police would fax over a statement and an indictment would be brought. I have changed the policy in my office that you're not ever able to bring an indictment until you do an investigation. And you would be surprised at the percentage of people that never get charged because we are doing what is just by them. Right. We also started a diversion program that sometimes they did do it, but it's their first offense. They were young. It was a mistake. We can make the victim whole and we can restore them. And so I am looking at the people charged with crimes as human beings. Another thing is I take a huge part of my budget and I put it into the school system because, as I tell people often, I want to see the children that look like me and don't look like me but have opportunity ahead of them in the classroom and not in the courtroom. And so it is so important that as people listen to your program that they don't go in on November 5th and just vote at the top of the ballot.
Right.
They need to vote in those local elections that are going to touch them, their mothers, their grandmothers, their nephews, their uncles. And I can tell you that a prosecutor is one of the things that touches too many people's lives, and you need to make sure that you have someone sitting in that seat that cares about you and values you and doesn't think that you are just someone that should be thrown away based on the way you look or who you love or the zip code or area code that you live in.
I preach, pass the basket. I come out of the local tradition, so I feel that. While this question is directed at you, Fani, I'm hoping, Jasmine, you would weigh in here, which is, while you are doing great, which I'm loving in your life professionally and personally, the Republicans in your state are pretty obsessed with you, and so being are attempting to level the power of your office, which will have impact on every black next prosecutor who follows you, and so on and so forth. And I know you've been at the epicenter, taking the arrows as well. We got a lot of listeners from Georgia, a lot from Atlanta and the surrounding area. What can black lawyers be doing in Georgia to not just, I don't want to put it on you, but we know what's powering a lot of this movement, but what can they do to help protect you, the office, the ability for folks like you who want to come next to not feel so bowed by the attacks against you that it's not a choice that they make? What does that look like? And the reason why I pointed at you as well, Jasmine, is because you're a lawyer yourself. Some may be afraid of what that thing is that they may have to do to stand in protection. And I'd love for you to speak to that.
Well, I will start. I think that one thing that lawyers all over the country can do is they can let these senators, because I live rent-free in Republicans locally and nationally.
Yeah.
I'm there. I got the mortgage paid up.
Of course you do.
So as a result of that, I am the target many, many times. But what they don't understand is I take my craft very seriously, and we dot our I's and we cross our T's, and we make sure that we operate ethically. And that is a very frightening proposition. People want to get up, they want to do good work, they want to make their money, and they want to be left alone. And so I understand people not wanting to live, the hell that I have lived where I can't live in my home, but I had to pay the mortgage today anyway, or where I am threatened constantly. I understand someone not wanting to live like that. But at some point, you have to make a decision. What is your life for? What does it mean? And for me personally, I want to make sure that it's a life of service. We're only here for a very limited number of days, and the only thing that's really going to matter is how did you help other human beings. things. And so I think that it's worth it. And I think that us as young African Americans, although I'm in my 50s, I'm going to still take that young title. I think that it's important that we recognize all the shoulders that we stand on of black people, of white people, of Jewish people. It was a movement that took us to progressing, and we are living in a time where they want to take history out of our books, have us forget it, and not remember all the legacy that we stand on. And I know the legacy that I stand on. I've already read the books.
Come on.
And so I plan to do the work, and I think that lawyers need to demand that the senators who want to attack and do things wrongly, that they know that we're not going to allow it, and that they stand next to me and not cower.
Come on. That's it.
I was going to just say, any parting words from you, Congressman? I know you guys have to go to the dinner.
I was literally going to basically echo those sentiments, besides like paying homage to our ancestors who literally paved the way for us to have the opportunities. I do think it's important that as a village we stand together. It's kind of like the kid that goes to the playground. If you go to the playground and they think you ain't got no cousins and no sisters and brothers, then they will jump you. But if they see that you have an entire coalition standing with you, then they are afraid of you. And so what we need to do is we need to flex our power. We didn't get through or to law school by ourselves. There were those that made sacrifices. Some lost their lives, plenty bled, and some literally just went to jail so that we could have the opportunities. So I do think that at some point in time you have to say, what am I going to do with this privilege that has been granted upon me? And so even if you don't want to be on the front lines, because I get it, if you don't want to necessarily be the ones that takes all the bullets, make sure that you are standing there with us. Make sure that you are providing some armor, and make sure that she's not having to spend all her daggone campaign money hiring lawyers out the wazoo, and half of them may not even have her back. They just good for her so long as she keeps paying them a check. Sometimes you have to decide, my sacrifice may not be that I'm going to run for office, but I'm going to make the sacrifice and support those that are running for office. And so that's what I would implore them to do.
Well, we have our marching orders, and it's Cobb County girl. Love that Fulton County girl. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. Queens, yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. All of us. You know what's interesting? All of us, these ladies, Andrew, all of us, we have all been attacked publicly by them. They not like us, and they don't like us.
Well, thank God for this particular conference, which has been called From Vision to Victory. We are so fortunate to be joined now by Congressman Troy Carter, who is an annual legislative conference co-chair. He is representing New Orleans, and we also are being joined by Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, who is a CBC Foundation board member. And we also see present the extraordinarily brilliant and beautiful Summer Lee, Congresswoman Summer Lee. We might as well get y'all all up, because y'all gonna have to go line up to march across that stage in just a moment. So
I love how Congresswoman Beatty, she didn't walk, she floated. She
did float in.
She elegantly floated and took a seat.
I want to shout out my friends Quentin and Stefanie Brown, who are here also. We're gonna get them on. We got joined by all the members, y'all, because they gotta go line up.
Hi, ladies. Beautiful, and handsome. So happy to have you guys here.
So from Vision to Victory, we are the last day of the conference. How do you think we've done? Are we closer to the victory? And this is a nonpartisan question, to be very clear.
We're absolutely closer to the victory.
Get closer to the mic.
Closer to the victory. We're absolutely closer to the victory. When you look at the excitement, the energy, the commitment, people see the opportunity to save our democracy. And I think while this has been a great opportunity to come together, party with a purpose. While we're having a good time, we're also talking about significant policy. We're talking about making sure that the antidote to Trump 2025 is November 5th, 2024. Vote.
I want to come to you, Ms. Beatty, and I also want to defer to my colleagues, but I wanted to start here because I heard someone say to me the other day, they were like, there's a member of Congress, she's got this short pixie cut, and she is sharp, and she gave us our marching orders at Black Women's Agenda, so I know you can tear the house down. So what you got for us? I know you got something to say. And by the way, we would not be here at this conference without the advocacy, the fierce advocacy of Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and she does it for the people every single day, so thank you.
No, thank you all for doing this, and I certainly agree with Congressman Troy Carter. And let me just say, we are closer because we have a platform. We are closer because we have a candidate, fact, not partisan. When you think about we're here for CBCF-ALC, we took 50% of little black babies out of poverty. We put $35 cap on insulin for our seniors and others. We put $65 billion into HBCUs, and I'm a HBCU graduate. And if that's not good enough, let's talk about loan forgiveness. $167 billion for some 64 million people. So we have a platform. Economy is better. 15 million jobs. Inflation now, if you look at the plan of the two different visions, I certainly want to be on the sisters' vision.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, KKK, you know what we usually think about when we hear that? Well, I'm going to give it a DEI name. On King's Day, Ketanji Jackson Brown's gonna swear in Kamala Harris.
I love that.
Now that's my KK.
Not reclaiming the KKK. Reclaiming the KKK.
That's a drop the mic moment.
Claim some stuff.
I'm in because I got a black job.
Right.
I
got a black
doing
job.
my black job. 2025, as Troy said, is bad. It dismantles everything that we believe in our values. So I'm going to call it 2024 vote.
I
just
love
need
it.
everybody to vote. But let's not get overexcited. Let's not think the job is done because we are a long way from it until we get to Election Day. So I just want everybody to take the energy and double it for the next 50-some days, and then I'll be really happy to say
I love that. Congresswoman Lee, thank you so much for joining us. I love the marching orders we just got from Congresswoman Beatty. Joteka Edie, who I'm sure you guys know, her wonderful
one of my dearest friends.
Yes, we love Joteka and her work around Win with Black Women. She addressed the conference this week, and one point that she made, here in D.C., inauguration weekend, there is no accommodation. Hotels are sold out. That is how confident people are about this election. And so I hear your caution. Joteka's marching orders were, if you have a hotel room booked here, but you ain't registered nobody to vote,
there you go.
Then you ain't been doing your job. So, Congresswoman Lee, I'm curious what you would say to people out there who are rightfully celebratory of this moment after what we've been through as a people and as a country. What are your marching orders to our audience watching right now?
Yeah, so listen, I'm in Pennsylvania, so I always take excitement. I take joy that I see, especially in these places, right? Because when we gather, we bring this sort of energy. But when we go home, we forget sometimes that we're going back to people who aren't in these circles, right? They're not getting dressed up tonight. They haven't been able to hear all the inspiration from these panels. They haven't absorbed all the black excellence that we've been absorbing. So we got to go back to states just like mine, to Western Pennsylvania. And we actually have to talk to people who are not as tuned in as we are. And that's not as easy, right? And it's not. And it's okay to admit that. When we talk about what Sewell Beatty said, that we have a plan, we have to take it. That's our responsibility. We have to go on doors and we have to let folks know what's at stake and what we can do to address that. We have to let people know that hope isn't something that is just a word, but we have a belief in each other and ourselves. And when we step up for ourselves, we can get those things done. But, you know, that is translating all of this into some actual action.
Yeah.
We always get folks who say they want to, you know, they'll go to the rallies, and I love rallies, y'all. I do. There's a lot of energy at these rallies, but the reality is that the people who we need are not the rally. We need to go and get black folks on college campuses.
Right.
We got to go and get young folks who are reasonably concerned about a lot of stuff. We need to take that concern and we need to help connect them into the system. We need to plug them in, and we got to be patient with them. So I'm seeing this, and I think that this is a really good foundation. But we know in these 50-something days, we got work to do still.
Yeah, I think that's so. It's kind of like an analogy for the kids who show up to the guidance counselor's office because they want to go to college. Those are not the kids who are in the most need. It's the kids who are not participating. So I love that you made that point. I think that's so poignant.
I don't want to be a Donald Downer, but I do want to say a lot of people elect people to public office and then they start to criticize those individuals, basically saying, well, they didn't get done what it is that they said they would do. I often try to remind folks, look, we came here under ball and chain, had to endure 400 years of servitude before even being legal, then having that taken away. Before then, we're still seeing laws that are passed that bring us into our full existence. what does Kamala Harris, in addition to folks going out and voting and organizing for her, what companionship does she need in order to facilitate the movement of an agenda that makes life different for people in the streets?
She needs an Hakeem Jeffries to be Speaker of the House. We need to have a full complement of Democratic senators in the majority in the U.S. Senate. We need a patient community, a faith-based community, an academia and nonprofit and business to recognize that the alternative is no democracy. The alternative is a reversal of people's rights. The alternative is a total ignoring of the Constitution and the rights that we have. We cannot go backwards. And so when you think about where we are, we have a vice president who was a district attorney, an attorney general, a United States senator, and now the vice president, soon to be president of the United States, the most consequential candidate to have ever served as vice president, and no one has had as much experience as she does bringing to the Oval Office. It's ridiculous that people would suggest otherwise. Everyone should stand and defend and just call balls and strikes. The facts bear out. Kamala Harris clearly has the requisite skill sets, temperament, and abilities. What we have to do as a people, as Jesse Jackson said in 1988, you can't hope me in, you have to vote me in. So we've got to remind people that for the next 51, 52, 53 days, we got to hump. We got to, just as Semmerly just said, we can't depend on the circles that we're in. We're the choir preaching to the choir. We've got to go out into the communities, into the barbershops, the beauty shops, into the nightclubs, into sororities and fraternities. And we've got to tell people, yes, your vote does matter. And we can't afford to think we got this thing won so we can celebrate. No, it's going to be close. And in order to make sure that we can defend what will happen on Election Day, we have to make sure it is a solid victory.
You know, I want to flag for you all. Of course, the Congressional Black Caucus is known as the conscience of the Congress. And with the three of you all sitting here, you all have divergent politics. Your politics aren't all the way aligned. And what I love about this is people get to see themselves reflected in each of you. And as the caucus continues to grow, we see from how you vote, from the way you negotiate, from what you say in committee, the differences. There was one moment yesterday that I wanted to mention at the top of the show, and I forgot until now. But this conference is always a convening for people of divergent opinions and perspectives to share in forums. People get up and ask questions, sometimes want to debate with y'all. But there was this really harrowing moment last night. I was walking out of the Salamander, and there was a protest. And the protest was for Justin Johnson, who was killed at a McDonald's in D.C., shot 10 times. And I was so troubled that it was at a black hotel for our black members. And, of course, I was walking with Papa Rye. And my dad looks at me and he says, this is where they knew they could be heard. And so I know that Justin Johnson and so many others, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, have been at the top of you all's minds, and you've legislated for them. But I just want to say thank you for facilitating this space for the protesters, for Justin Johnson, for the protesters against the Israel-Hamas war, for the protesters to ensure that Black lives matter. So for facilitating this space, I just want to say thank you, and I want to honor you all for being here.
Thank you so much.
We love you guys.
We realize that now. I'll say this, and I think we'd all agree. We realize our diversity. Sometimes people think when you say Congressional Black Caucus that we're all alike, and we are not. And that's what we value and appreciate, because that is our strength. But what's even better, when you put it all together, that's the power of it.
It is.
Yeah. We can make anything happen, as we did with the infrastructure bill,
yes,
or we can stop anything from happening, as we did that we got both parts that we wanted. We wanted to make sure that the services were going to be voted on and signed, and so we did it all because of our unity and our power.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And if I could add to that, just even with what Brother Carter was just talking about, when we think about what we are really needing to do right now, it is how do we invest in the coalitions of the future?
Yeah.
To see me, I'm a black girl from the Mon Valley, outside of Pittsburgh, right? I'm a progressive, and a lot of people for a long time, were told that you couldn't be black and progressive, and I actually don't always agree that we differ in so many ways. I think that sometimes our politics difference and our policies, our goals are similar. We're trying to figure out what is the best way to get there, recognizing that we're working through systems where there are no clear answers. Yeah. So when we talk about how do we invite in these folks who have been disenfranchised, who maybe or feel a little disaffected, how do we make room for them? How do we welcome them? And when they see me in a place like that, they see that that's possible. They see that, you know what, even if I don't come, speaking the same language, I don't come with the same background, I don't come from the same socioeconomic status, that my blackness still qualifies me to be in Congress. That my perspective, my experiences qualifies me to have an opinion, and that opinion deserves to be represented in every hall of power. That's what this is about. And right now, when we think about what we need to do in these next 40-something days, we need to figure out how do we remind and keep our Democratic coalition together. How do we remind people that even the Democratic coalitions of the past aren't going to be sufficient? Right now, what we know, what Republicans know, and what we need to know is that that coalition of black folks, of brown folks, of young folks, of progressives, of moderates, of people who are urban and rural and suburban coming together right now is what's going to keep us afloat to keep democracy alive. So we need to pull that together.
You need to go back and tell them when they say you can't be progressive and Democrat that they don't know our history. If you don't think Shirley Chisholm was progressive, if you don't think John Lewis was progressive, if you don't think Charlie Rangel was
ahead of the time,
and all of them, if you don't think Maxine Waters and Jim Clyburn not progressive, so we have to make sure we keep our history. They do that to try to pit us against us. When a younger generation comes in and says progressive and Black Lives Matter, well, see, I'm from the generation before. We was raising our fists and saying Black Power with Jesse Jackson in the 80s. So I just want to leave it on that.
Now, and that's what I want folks to know.
There you go.
Said I have receipts, and on top of receipts, y'all also have time. We have your chairwoman, Terri Sewell of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, who's here, and Nicole, Austin-Hillery, who is the president, who are going to join us. And I know y'all got to get ready to go meet your president.
Thank you for letting me be unapologetically black.
Thank you for being unapologetically black. Thank you both.
Congressman Carter, Congresswoman Beatty, Congresswoman Summer Lee, we are so grateful for your participation today. Thank you.
See you soon. I'm so excited to be
I'm going to lose my friend card with Steph and Quentin. They've been
I know. We love you, Steph. And we want you guys to stay tuned because Stefanie and Quentin play such an important
are doing some amazing work with Collective
when it comes to politics.
Congresswoman Sewell and Madam President, please join us.
Congresswoman Terri Sewell, you all will know her. She's leading a lot of the voting rights work. She is representing Alabama. We just shared the stage the other day, so I'm so happy to have you join us. And every time I see you, you get more beautiful. I saw it when you were on stage the other day. You had this beautiful, elegant dress on, and tonight you both look so gorgeous.
I know, Nicole, I'm still in this dress.
I want that necklace back when you're done with it. Okay.
Fabulous. He said I want it back. Just so you all know, you talked about voting rights, Tiff. I think it's really important for folks to know, too, many of us met Nicole in her voting rights advocacy work, and we are so grateful for your service and then bringing that here from vision to victory this week and in so many other ways to support our wonderful members, my CBC family. How are you all doing? Are you thrilled?
Great.
You almost made it through?
This is the final act.
Come a little closer to your mic, Congresswoman. We wanted to make sure our viewers can hear you in the mic.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I'm honored to chair the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, but I'm equally honored to chair the CBC's Voting Rights Brain Trust. Tiffany, thank you. You were awesome on that. And I think that what we talked about was strategizing, mobilizing, empowering black voters to get to the polls in 50 days. It's really, really important. So I can't thank you enough for being a participant in this. And I also just really want to thank Nicole as the president and CEO of the foundation and its amazing staff for putting on such a great conference. This is our 53rd annual legislative conference, and it's at a pivotal moment in American history, as we all know.
Yes. I just want to shout out your colleague, Congresswoman Lucy McBath, just walked past. So we see you, Congresswoman, and thank you for your work that you lead.
She's also the co-chair.
Yes.
Yes.
The co-chair of this year. And I would love to hear from you, Nicole, because a lot of people come. We might do a mini pod on this. We talked about doing a mini pod on the best black conferences around the country. But a lot of people come to Washington, D.C. this time every year, and it's definitely a lot of parties and a lot of fraternizing. But there's a lot of work that happens here. So if you can tell the viewers at home, if you come to party, that's fine, but we want to arm you with things.
It's a party with a purpose.
Right, party with a purpose. What is the purpose of this week's conference? What are the tangible results that you want to see when people get back on their flights home to Alabama or Tallahassee or LA or Seattle, wherever they're going? What do people take away when they leave?
First of all, thank you for having this conversation in this space. I want to go back to our theme for this year. From vision to victory, amplifying black voices. That's what this is about. This is ostensibly the nation's largest black public policy conference. It brings together people from everywhere. We break down barriers. It doesn't matter who you are, what your rank, file, title is. We want everyone here. And it is about talking about the issues that are most salient to the black community, figuring out solutions, and then taking that back out into the community. That's what this is for. And the parties and the receptions are all a part of it too, because that's our culture. Our culture is what sustains us while we do that work. So they are inextricably linked. So we want them to go hand in hand. But make no mistake about it. We are here to problem solve and to arm the community so that they can be empowered and strengthened.
And you know, that's exactly what we did in the Brain Trust. Yes. We told people they had to have a voting plan. You got to know where your polling station is. You need to know exactly the precinct captains, all that good stuff.
Yes.
And you need to bring a neighbor or a friend to the poll with you.
I've been saying on the show, arrive with 5. You got 5 friends, 5 other people.
That's right.
Folks write all the time and say, well, is such and such endorsing? Is such and such going to get behind candidate X? I say, if they do, great. But the truth is that the most important contact that voter will have, or potential voter, is going to be with you. The person they know, the one that they trust, the word that is bond to them is going to be you. And so don't wait for celebrity X, Y, and Z to show up. You go out and you do what you have to do. But in spite, and light of saying that, I am curious, how concerned are we with our folks' ability to have their votes, one, to make it through? We got citizen armies that are being formed around the country that folks have to be concerned
about. But we
about.
also have election protection being armed. You know, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, they have an 800 number, a toll-free number that you can call if you feel like your voting rights are being denied. So with every punch that they make, we have a counterpunch. We just got to make sure that our voting population knows what that counterpunch is.
Exactly. That's what it's about. It's about information. That's how we make sure our communities are armed. Look, I will tell you, we do research at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and we do research around voting rights. People just want to have the information because they say when they have it, they can get it out to the communities. And I will tell you, when people know it, and Rep. Sewell knows this, when people feel as though their voting rights are being suppressed, that makes them even more zealous, and they want to get out and do something. So as long as we give them the tools that they need, they're going to get out.
Yeah.
Well, count on us to share it, that's for sure.
We're here for quite a historic night. We know that the president will be addressing this wonderful body, the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's Phoenix Awards Dinner, and we'll be joined by Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. So thank you all so much.
We will be joined. Is she coming on
Oh, are you breaking news?
I'm asking.
Well, maybe
we don't know. She might walk past. Some people walk past and
go
say
Kamala, and the reason why we're saying Kamala is because we can pronounce it right over here.
Exactly.
But they actually have it. They have to be upstairs so they don't get in trouble with Secret Service. So, Madam President and Madam Chair, we thank you all so much for joining Native Land Pod today.
Thank you for having us.
It's
and
our
it's
honor.
hashtag ALC53.
That's it.
ALC53.
Thank you all so very much.
Beautiful. You don't know. She might be walking past.
She might be, and you could just
say,
wait,
hey, girl, hey. Wait, I got to go say what's up to Native Land Pod.
Well, let me tell you who we definitely have to say what's up to this second, because my dear friends, our dear friends have been waiting for a long time to ensure that they could get up here to talk about the extraordinary work and mission of the Collective PAC. We have Stefanie Brown James and her lovely husband. Y'all are looking rather dapper. Quentin James. So thank you all so much. How's ALC been? How's ALC been?
Oh, y'all looking good.
Y'all looking fly.
I love this dress.
Thank you for having us.
We are thrilled that y'all are here, so talk to us about what's going on. So just so you know, this is the Foundation's annual legislative conference. Andrew in particular has been following no rules about a 501c3. So if you talk about it in your personal capacity, I think you have a pass.
And can I just really quickly just sing your praises, because I want the viewers to know who you are. When we talk about
on the show often.
Yes, contributing to politics, there are a lot of ways. In the same way that you don't have to run for office, there are other ways that you can support and fundraising is such a key piece of that. The donor class is largely white and male. They get to determine who's a viable candidate and who's not. And Quentin and Steph collectively said, not on our watch. Collectively, we are going to form the collective PAC and empower people to help empower leaders who speak for us. So thank you for the work that you do in that space, and you're unapologetic about it and have had tangible success in the people that you've helped get into office. So we just want to let our viewers know who you are and thank you for your work.
Well, you know, we're the Mutual Admiration Society. Let me just say that, and how proud we are of y'all. So this is an honor for us to be here.
We love you, girl.
Okay, so tell us what y'all got going on. Y'all got 51 days. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Ooh, 51 days. I think maybe back in July, I was really worried about where we were in terms of the numbers. We know in the major presidential swing states, there are about 3.5 million unregistered but eligible black voters. And what's been so phenomenal about this moment and what...
How many?
About 3.5 million.
3.5 million unregistered black voters
but eligible.
In swing states.
As of July. As of July.
As of July. So that's Pennsylvania, Ohio, Nevada, Michigan.
Exactly.
Nevada, girl.
Nevada.
North
Sorry.
Carolina.
North Carolina.
Sorry, guys.
There's over 5 million that aren't registered at all.
Wow.
But what's been interesting is over the past 2.5, 3 weeks, we've seen almost a 400% increase in new voter registrations kind of getting processed in these states. We have a 58% increase in black voter registration since 2020 compared to the same time 2020. Over 125% increase in black women under 30 getting registered to vote. And so there's a movement happening. So Anthony, when you say like what's happening, we see momentum and we're excited. We got to turn that into actual votes. I mean, so we know if you're in Pennsylvania on Tuesday, people have the right to go out and vote early starting this coming Tuesday. Early voting starting in other states the next few weeks. And so this isn't about November. This is actually election season over the next few weeks. So people are going to get out there and start voting starting on Tuesday of this
Somebody crashing y'all.
Somebody crashing the party. But I might have welcomed it.
We've been together for 20 years.
That's what I'm saying. This is their family. So I was like, let me make sure Derrick sneak in here. This is Derrick Johnson, the president of the NAACP. You also join us at the Democratic National Convention as well. But he's their family, so I figured they would like this.
It's not crashing a party when they come to the house before the proposal about getting married and we cook them breakfast. It's not crashing the party.
That's good too.
That good Jackson, Mississippi food.
We're talking about there's 51 days left. Like, what are the marching orders for the people?
Don't get distracted. Don't allow an idiot to distract you because he's not our audience. Our audience are young voters. Our audience are male voters, female voters. Our audience are infrequent voters who turned out in 08, turned out in 12, and no one talked to them in 16. And in many ways, no one talked to them last year.
Yeah.
Don't get distracted and talk to infrequent voters because that's the difference between the quality of life that we have earned and going in a different directions. I don't know who behind me you're waving at, but I'm nosy.
Congresswoman Presley.
That's Congresswoman Ayanna Presley and her lovely husband and Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett. Y'all can at least have to say hi, but
they run and trying to
get they are trying to make sure they don't get locked out.
Mr. President, what does
don't get distracted like we just did.
What does protection look like for voters, particularly in black communities who aren't sure what they're going to confront when they go out to vote on election day or in the advance? What is the artillery look like on our side to make sure that voters' votes, when cast, hopefully cast, are protected?
But it's a combination of things, and it also depends on where you're voting. The reality of what it looks like in your home state of Florida may be different in where I live in Mississippi or in Georgia. So the protection may vary depending on location. If you're in Hinds County, Mississippi, we have a black police chief, we have a black sheriff, and we have black folks who stand up for each other. But if you're in an isolated community and you want to cast your black ballot, then it may be something different. Mm-hmm. So, the Lawyers Committee stood up a number some years ago, that 1A6 number, that's important, but it varies. But at the end of the day, walk through the faith that we're gonna win this and not through the fear of what might happen. Unfortunately, we reinforce some of the most negative stereotypes which also create a chilling effect of our people. Let's talk about what's going to happen in the positive and make sure we have the infrastructure in place wherever possible. So if something come up, call the 866 number. If you in DeKalb County, Georgia, there's a whole infrastructure there. If you are in Michigan, there's a different infrastructure. But whatever you do, go to the polls. At the end of the day, we will be victorious because it's us for us, fighting for us, and we must do that together.
I love that.
I want to get back to James, or to Quentin and Steph, but I want to ask you a quick question on this, Derrick, because I just want to quote the wonderful late great Nina Simone, because every time we talk about this, I just feel like Mississippi, goddamn,
right?
Because this is the most populous state with the largest number of black folks. There is no statewide representation, black representation in Mississippi. The racism is written into the state's constitution. I always wince when I hear people say the South is red. It's only red until it's ain't. And we're seeing Georgia tangibly show that we can make a difference. Mississippi, of all places, can make a difference, but how do we disrupt and dismantle these systems of institutional racism that keep people there so oppressed?
So Mississippi is a great number of math. We are 38% of the population, not 51% of the population. And the other side of that is it takes 25% of white voters to vote consistently with blacks. Anytime you have a majority black something, white fear goes up. Racial bloc voting also gets cemented in. You will have someone elected in Seattle, Washington, or San Francisco with less than 5% of the black voting population because the fear of the black community isn't as prevalent as it is in a place like Mississippi. But I would assure you, in our lifetime, probably before 2030, Mississippi will have more than one black statewide elected official.
You said before 2030?
Before 2030. Be clear, the trends are there. They're running out of white people. We are a younger population, at medium age, 31, 34 years in Mississippi black, 45 years old white. We have more children. We are looking at demographically, next year will be the last year where the population under 18 is majority white. The population under 18 will be majority non-white. Let's look at the data, the number. That's what's going to drive an outcome if we stay focused, not get distracted, and lean into our power and not create a dynamic where it's us fighting us.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, D, we crashed the party. You guys aren't done. You crashed. You're taking Maurice Mitchell's seat. We have to bring Maurice on Working Families Party.
Ladies and gentlemen, Working Party, President and CEO, Maurice Mitchell. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you, Derrick. Our guest co-host.
Thank
you, Derrick Johnson, President of the NAACP.
Can I just say, I think we might have just maybe heard some breaking news.
That is breaking news.
About maybe a future Governor Derrick Johnson of Mississippi.
Governor Derrick Johnson. He's my fan. No, you're so rude.
I'm speaking it into existence.
We would expect that comment coming from you, Q, and which leads me to my question for you and Steph, which is we often get feedback through the pod, through our listeners who are saying, well, what can we do? What can we do right where they are if they want to impact? Why do we have to compete against an AIPAC to preserve a member of Congress who we like, who we support? What are we doing? And just personal testimony, I could not have competed successfully in the race in Florida in that primary race without Quentin and Stefanie stepping up, which often put them at odds with the Democratic establishment of this country who came for their necks every time they came to have my back. So I know what the power of the collective PAC is. I'm a personal testimony to it, and so many others around the country are. But tell folks at home, if you want to be on the side of being at the table, of deciding who to support, of putting your money where you know it can go towards candidates who share your values and vision, what can they do?
The best thing is that everyone can do something. So even when you look at your local community, you probably know who your city council member is because you go to the grocery store with them, their children, they go to school with your children. Start at home. Support the people that you know that are running for office who share the same values, the same vision for the future. Give them $5. Give them $10. That adds up. We keep talking about 2008, Barack Obama, his low dollar fundraising amounts and how it was transformative. But guess what? That is what we as black folks have always done. We put our little coins together. we collectively utilize the power of our resources that we have at our hands to make a change. And so I just want to make sure everyone knows that, you know, I have a wonderful hairstylist named Edith.
Your hair look good.
Thank you, baby. Yes, it does. But Edith is in the shop that she owns, registering voters. She's talking about the issues. She's making sure that her stylists are also doing the same, and that's powerful. And I know before she felt like, well, what could I do? Everyone can do someone, because everyone has a point of influence in the people that are around us.
Yeah,
I love that.
There was a similar movement in Georgia with strippers. I don't know if you guys remember the booties to the polls, I think. And it was I just thought it was amazing because you're speaking to a specific demographic. In Georgia, that demographic cast a wide net, and meeting people where they are. And I think, you know, if nothing else, that man, him, 45, Donald Trump, taught us to throw out the old playbook. Like, we have to navigate and move in a different way, and you all are doing exactly that.
And to that point, I just want to say, one of the things, we have an organization that's a sister organization called Vote to Live. We focus on low propensity black voters. What does that mean? That's to mean the black folks that people have left behind because maybe they didn't vote in the last election or the last 2 elections. Yeah. We need everyone to vote. Yeah. The man on the street corner who you pass every day who's asking you we need him to vote. So part of it is, as black folks, we got to reach out and make sure that everyone in our community is resourced and ready to be able to participate because, you know, when we fight, we know we win.
And I would just say tangibly, you can visit votetolive.org. Again, all C3. Register to vote. Find out what's on your ballot. Find your polling site. Request an absentee ballot to vote early by mail. Check your status because we know purging is an issue. Votetolive.org. Get all those resources there. And share that with your friends and family as well. Perfect resource.
We love you all so much. Quentin, Stefanie Brown James, Quentin James. We thank God for y'all. Thank you for stopping by to see us. Mo, stick around. And we have State Representative Justin Jones also joining us. Y'all heard of the Tennessee 3. He's been doing the work since before that stand down moment on the Tennessee State Legislature floor.
And this shows how important the role of state legislatures are.
How about that?
The majority are Republican controlled.
And how important the work of Stefanie Brown James and Quentin James Organization Collective PAC is.
And how patient they are.
How patient they are.
We had so many people come on. Welcome, brothers.
Look at this. Yo, come on.
I love all these black men. What is that, velvet?
Crush velvet.
We love it.
I love all these black men on set tonight. We've had quite a few, and I think that piece is so important because, you know, even watching our comments, I don't know if you all have been looking, but there are people who feel left out of the conversation. And particularly a lot of black men have felt that way. So I just want to say welcome home. And we are so happy to have our counterparts. Our community would not be the same. We love black men. We love having you all as your counterparts, and we are never trying to drive an agenda that divides us. So we are partners in this work. So thank you all for being here.
I want to come to Mo. We kind of had you sitting around waiting, but I want you to talk about the purpose of working families first. We actually were having a whole text conversation because he got some unintended fire on a Breakfast Club interview that I did with Jill Stein the other day, and she talked kind of trash a little bit about working families party. So I want you to talk about what it means to actually win some elections.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh
well,
my.
It's really good to be here with you, sis.
Love
Brother,
you.
it's been a while. It's good to see you.
I had y'all's endorsement. Got
That's
me
right.
for the primary.
It was an honor to endorse you, and sis, thank you so much. All of y'all. I mean, man, when y'all launched, I knew I wanted to be here, so it's a true honor to actually finally be sitting here.
That's dope.
And the Working Families Party, we've been around for 26 years. I've been at the helm for 6 years, and what have we been doing? We've been building a third-party infrastructure from the ground up. Because of everything that we talked about, we recognize that independent black voices aren't often welcome in political spaces. And what we believe is we have to do the hard work to build the infrastructure, to resource people in order to, for example, this Tuesday in Delaware, right? Cam Smith in Delaware defeated the Speaker of the House, a Working Families Party, a black organizer, Working Families Party candidate, and now she's going to be representing all of the interests that we talked about on this program in Delaware, right? So you talk about winning elections, right? While folks were trading barbs online, we were doing the hard work, state by state by state in 20 states, actually winning with grassroots black candidates. For example, Tish James,
Yes.
Tish James is the Attorney General of New York and was able to hold Donald Trump accountable. What a lot of people don't know is that her entrance into politics started off as a Working Families Party independent candidate, right? You want to go into the South. We made Black history in the city of Jonesboro, right? So this is like local, right? Danya Sarter. It's a Black woman who's now the mayor of Jonesboro because of the Working Families Party infrastructure. Actual boots on the ground, volunteers, labor unions, grassroots organizations doing the hard work, not just yapping about it, but actually delivering. And then in Philadelphia, when we talk about delivering, right, we have Pastor Nicholas O'Rourke, who is the minority whip, and we have an amazing grassroots coalition, and we have Kendra Brooks, who's the minority leader of Philadelphia. And Kendra and Nicholas, they're not just talking about it, they're actually governing. Elections are an opportunity to govern. Elections are not the prize, governing is the prize. So in the city of Philadelphia, Black folks in North Philadelphia that Kendra and Nick represent, unlike many cities, are not facing an eviction crisis like before. Why? Because the Working Families Party municipal candidates created groundbreaking protections so that landlords have to negotiate before they throw folks out. That has showed a total shift. So we're delivering for working people. We're delivering for working class Black folks this independent grassroots bottom-up third-party approach. We don't believe in the top-down, every 4 years, top-down approach. Look, if that could be possible, then Ross Perot, who was a billionaire, would have delivered that top-down third-party approach. What we're doing is telling the truth to our people, right? We tell the truth to our people. What we're saying is, look, we do not yet have the infrastructure to surface our own candidate at the top of the ticket and not pull votes in order to ensure that the right wing and Project 2025 agenda happens. Yeah. But what we do have is the power to influence people all the way at the top of the ticket and deliver on the grassroots.
What I appreciate about what you're saying is because we have a mini pod on this, so if you guys watching at home can tune in. We talk about third party candidates, and so many people, they're seduced by bigger roles. But the truth is, third parties do win in state legislatures and at the local level. So I want to bring Justin into this conversation because a lot of the challenging policies that we see reach the federal government, they bubble up from these state legislatures. You held the line, sit on the line. Shout out Memphis. I see y'all in the comments. Shout out hometown Memphis. Talk to our viewers about how important the role of their state legislatures are when it comes to politics.
Definitely. Well, it is so honored to be here with you all. I represent the most diverse district in Nashville, District 52, and I'm the youngest Black lawmaker in our state. And what we're trying to build is to build a real opposition party to the extremists of white nationalists who've taken over our state government. And so Tennessee is a tip of the spear when we look at extremist policies. We're the state with one of the most restrictive anti-abortion laws, the first state to ban books, to ban drag shows, but it won't ban the assault weapons that are terrorizing our kids in schools. We're a state where 20% of Black people cannot vote because of felony disenfranchisement. And so the spirit of Jim Crow is alive and well. We have our own Governor George Wallace's. His name is Bill Lee, and the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, who I'm suing right now because not only do they attack us, but when they silence us, when they expelled us, and now when they silence us in committee, kick us off our committees, they're silencing the voices of our constituents because they know that the State House is a laboratory for what they're trying to nationalize. So it's a tip of the spear. And if we can stop it in a state like Tennessee, we can stop Project 2025 from spreading nationally. I've been telling everyone across this nation that Project 2025 is Tennessee 2024. We are already dealing with the consequences of a Project 2025 agenda. When we look at voter suppression, we look at the removal of qualified people from our state government, from the health department, because they're talking about diversity. They say, we don't want you to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, because to them that's a bad word. We already see Project 2025. We look at defunding public education and passing voucher scams to give coupons to wealthy people to go to private schools. We already are dealing with Project 2025, which is why we're fighting like hell with everything we have, and which is why we were expelled, because they were afraid of what we represent. We represent a new South. Southern segregationists would say the South is going to rise again. I say to hell with that. The South is going to rise anew. We're building a new South that is multiracial, that is younger, and they're terrified of us because they know that if we can stop their agenda in the South, we'll stop it from spreading across this nation.
I love that. Well, Florida was Project 2025 2002. So we got it before everybody. I mean, the consequences for elected officials that we saw play out in your state, they have been executing on progressive attorneys who lead prosecutorial offices around the state, and so we know what you mean when you say that. I am curious, what does the support continue to look like for you as you battle what are systems? They're individuals who helm them, but they're by and large systems that you're attempting to reconstruct or to level and build again our way. What does the support for that community look like, which also makes me want you to answer, what does it mean to build a working party's infrastructure in a place where it doesn't exist in cities and in towns around the country?
Well, absolutely. So we take an eye on the long haul work. It is, you all know, it is the day-to-day organizing and the work that day-to-day organizers do that often we don't see, right? That actually builds our democracy. And what we understand is that elections happen state by state and even further county by county. And so if anybody is talking about movement building, but they're not talking about building county by county infrastructure that could support activists, could actually do leadership development so they develop skills. Maybe they first start off canvassing, and then in another cycle they're actually running a campaign, and then they become a candidate, right? Then I don't know what you're talking about, right? If you're talking only at the top of the ticket and you're not recruiting candidates to run on the municipal level, and then eventually on the legislative level, and then ultimately, like we saw our sister Summer Lee, who came from governing on the legislative level in the state legislature and then moved up to Congress, and I'm proud to call Summer Lee a WFP endorsed candidate. That type of work is how you build that infrastructure. I'll give you another example, right? Brandon Johnson. I remember Brandon Johnson when he was a educator and a union organizer, and we had the honor to support him so that he could become the Cook County commissioner, right? It took 5 years of him governing on that level before he was able to build the infrastructure and build the movement so that he could become the mayor of the third largest city in America, right? So we have to have that long arc view of building power, and it means getting organizations, grassroots organizations, labor organizations, activists in a shared political commitment and have a North Star, know where you're going, right? It's not simply about getting people elected. Again, that's not the prize. The prize is actually being able to use governing power to deliver for our people, right? And I want everybody to really consider, especially when we're looking at November, this is a binary choice. The Project 2025 agenda, because elections are about the future and elections are about a governing agenda, and then the alternative, the agenda that we could claim, right? And listen, politicians are who they are. It's not about putting faith in any politicians, even politicians that we might have an affinity for. It's about putting faith in our organization and our ability to organize once we get at the other end of an election, and that can only happen inside organization.
Thank you all so much, Justin. I want to close with you, and I know we have to get you all to the dinner. Why is it important for young black folks to run for state and local office?
So before I was elected, I was arrested 18 times, and I was banned from the state capitol, which is what led me to run. So the same troopers who went to court and lied on me had to hold the door and say, "Welcome, representative, to your office."
Wow.
And each of those charges were dismissed. And so it's important for us to run because, as Fannie Lou Hamer said, move on over or we'll move on over you, because we're moving on over. And so we must reclaim these seats. You know, my first week in the legislature, State Senator Jack Johnson, the Republican Majority Leader, was on the elevator with me, and his welcome to me was saying, "Jones, I just want you to know that you're worthless and you're not supposed to be here." And at that time, I was shocked I didn't respond to him. But actually, in hindsight, I have appreciation for Senator Johnson because he gave me clarity that I'm not there to make friends with these people. I'm there to make change for my district. And that's why I show up to committee every day about business, because what we're facing is serious, that they are using our state as a laboratory to test out these horrible policies that they're going to try and spread across the nation. We're the state 37208, the most incarcerated zip code in the nation. We're a state that, again, 20% of black folks cannot vote. And so it's important for us as young black people to run because we can represent a new vision of what a state like Tennessee can be. The birthplace of the Klan is also the birthplace of the Nashville student movement, where young people like Diane Nash and John Lewis rose up against Jim Crow, and it's our time again. And so, I have so much hope, and I'm excited about this election. So we're trying to gain 10 seats in our state legislature to break the Republican supermajority so they can't expel us again, so they can't cut off our microphones again. But if they do, we always stay ready with a megaphone, because we're not going to allow them to silence the voices of our constituents, because we represent moral clarity, we represent boldness, and we represent urgency in these policies when we look at the crises of our democracy, the crises of white supremacy, the crises of our economy, and we must fight with everything we have, because when history looks down on this moment, I want to say that we were on the right side of history, and that we stood on what we needed to for future generations.
I'm so grateful for you all. Thank you all for joining Native Land Pod. We are so thankful. And I mean, I wish we could just let that be the benediction, but the show has to go on. But we definitely want both of you all back. And if we got to, we'll be in Tennessee right with you with the bullhorn.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Anytime Cousin Angela says, come on, I'll come on.
Oh, it's my honor. It is my highest honor. Andrew been greeting everybody on our behalf. That's a hug and a handshake from all of us. At this time, we have the great privilege and honor of being joined by our dear sister, Alexis McGill Johnson, who of course is the president of Planned Parenthood America, and she's greeting these wonderful gentlemen too. No, you're good. Don't run. You're fine. You're like, come on down. It's giving prices right. You look beautiful, Alexis.
Yes, as always. Beautiful. Hi, gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
So excited to be. It's obviously a very busy year when it comes to repro justice. And so I know Miss Alexis McGill Johnson has been running, crisscrossing the country, standing on the front lines on behalf of women, but honestly, everybody. It's not an issue that just impacts women. It impacts all of us. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here with family. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. So we were just mentioning, Andrew, I'm sorry. I can hardly hear you. I meant to say that a long time ago. When he turns his head sideways,
But y'all can hear Andrew.
Maybe I'll look this way too. Is that better when I do this? Is that better?
I hear you fine.
Okay. Well, Andrew, hopefully you can hear me and you're not struggling as much as I'm struggling to hear you. But I was gonna say, Alexis, we've been talking about the fact that there really are 51 days left. What marching orders do you have for the folks at home watching, for us sitting at this desk with you as we welcome our listeners and our audience home? What should we be focused on in this final stretch?
So I want people to be focused not on polls, not on time, not on even the 50 days. I want them to be focused on every single conversation they're going to have from now until November 5th. I want them to make sure that everyone they know is registered to vote. I want them to understand that freedom is on the ballot. I want them to understand if they don't vote now, they may not get to vote again. That has to be the single most important message, because our bodies are on the ballot, our freedoms are on the ballot, and everywhere I turn, I have to say, the energy has turned up, right? It's turned up in a way, I don't know that we felt this in a minute, right? In a minute. And we've been doing this game, all four of us, right? Because I've known all of you all and all your different iterations of organizing, including mine. I don't know that I felt the kind of multi-generational, the multiracial, the feminist democracy building, the realignment that's happening that we actually are in charge of. And I want people to understand that this is our time to do that now.
It almost would have felt draconian to hear the comments around, if you don't vote this time, you may never have the opportunity to do it again. And then you sit for a moment and realize the Republicans and what shenanigans they've been involved in since they got power. Can't lead, but since they got power. And you realize with the Supreme Court declaring a king again, that anything is possible. And I just wonder, as you make your rounds around the states, are there particular places, I know the country's on fire, but are there particular places that raise significant alarm bells as it relates to bodily autonomy, as it relates to, frankly, people of color finding themselves on the margin of real health crises personally for not being able to have access to making their own reproductive health decisions?
Well, look, absolutely. Look, we are living in a world right now where 22 states have put bans on our bodies, right? Where they have eliminated, restricted access to abortion in those states. That affects 43% of all women. It affects more than half of all black women. So we have to be clear that when I say our bodies are on the ballot, they're literally on the ballot across the country. And while we can look at the maps and say, this is the presidential, this is what you need to do for the Senate, this is what you need to do for the House, like literally all across the country, our bodies are on the ballot. But part of what I'm saying is, like, I think about what's happening in Florida right now. Just last week, or this week, I can't remember, this week, Governor DeSantis, there's a really critical ballot initiative in Florida. Florida is one of the most important states in the South for reproductive freedom. Florida has enacted a 6-week ban before many people even know that they are pregnant. And so Floridians, to protect reproductive freedom, have put a ballot initiative on in order to protect their, to get a constitutional right. Governor DeSantis decided he was going to get his election police. I didn't even know that was a division.
Yeah, they started with black folks going to their doorstep, arresting them,
Yep. And election police to go and all of the good people who signed a petition, finding out where they are, they're looking at their address, going up to their doors and knock, knock, knock.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Hello, Angela Rye, did you sign that petition?
Crazy.
That's right.
Right? Like, I need to talk to you, and then to intimidate. Like, if that is not an example of voter intimidation, an example of how protecting your own body becomes a way to understand how you need to protect your own democracy, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, exactly. I always say there's always polling about how many people support abortion rights. And I always say, I don't give a damn how many people support abortion. It is up to us as an individual. If you are not the person in the situation, I don't want anyone weighing in on what I do with my body. But even beyond reproductive justice and actions, it is just the health. The actual health of women, and also, more importantly, the health of children. I saw this as a meme, and I don't mean to be insensitive to anything that happened, but when Donald Trump lied about babies being aborted, post-birth, someone posted a school shooting and said, this is what it looks like when babies are aborted after birth. And it's so true. If you care so much for children, care for actual children. Do something about these school shootings and stay the F word out of my uterus. That's the bottom line to all these elections. I didn't have a question. That was my comment. I yield the floor to the good gentle lady from the West Coast.
No, but I think that's right. I mean, I think it's like there are all these people who are out there in the vein of like pro-life as their banner, but like, no, you're really just pro-birth. Because once we're here, what are you actually doing?
Are they even pro-birth? Look at all the maternal health disparities.
Right. Maternal mortality. Look at infant mortality. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. In the same states that have banned abortion, same states that have the highest maternal mortality rates, the highest infant mortality rates. So clearly you're not doing anything to save us. And they're also, by the way, the same states that have declined billions of dollars of health care under the ACA, right? So much resource that could be going to actually saving communities. And they're like, no, we're okay. We're willing to let all of you go.
I know we've got to push soon, but I wanted to ask you, as we look prospectively toward the future, beyond November 5th, assuming it goes the way we all will work and want it to, on the reproductive health agenda, do you think there is a chance we can get codification through law, the Congress, the U.S. House, and the U.S. Senate, that hopefully precludes this mess from happening again?
That is the whole ball game, Andrew, right? It is all about getting a reproductive freedom majority. It is about ensuring that we have reproductive freedom champions up and down the ballot, because when we do, we have the opportunity to get federal legislation that will restore the protections of reproductive freedom. And so there should be no world where if you live in Florida or you live in Texas, that you don't have the same rights that you do in Washington, D.C. and New York and California and Illinois.
Yeah.
Right? And what we have right now is a bifurcated system where if you were born in a certain zip code, you are being held hostage. You can't necessarily even travel out of state, and you may be forced into pregnancy. So many politicians this cycle are talking about things like exceptions. Right? They're saying like, oh, I support reproductive freedom, or I don't support it, but I will in these certain circumstances. Just look at the matters of rape and incest. There were 26,000 examples of rape and incest in Texas alone. Forced pregnancies. 26,000 of forced pregnancies due to rape and incest.
Oh my God.
60,000 overall, but a third actually happened in Texas.
Wow.
So when you talk about free states and non-free states.
Right.
That's true.
And so what federal legislation
Governor Abbott
does.
and Senator Ted Cruz.
And
Yes.
AG Paxton. So like literally what we are fighting for is to ensure that wherever you live, you get access to the health care you need. And that should just be a fundamental American right.
While we've been sitting here, former Congressman Ed Towns just walked by. I was just waving at you, Congressman. Good to see you. Absolutely. I want to thank you, Alexis, not only for your advocacy. You're fighting every day, the fights we know about, the fights we do not. We thank you. And I also want to especially thank you for being a partner of this podcast.
Thank you.
We just are We thank God for you. And we thank God we've known you for a very long time.
We have known each other for a very long time, and I just want to say, with the moment of privilege, how proud I am of all of you all for, like, you know, misinformation is such a real challenge in a world where we can't control the way information is disseminated.
True.
And the way you show up every day and you break it down flawlessly and brilliantly and just to the point and make it plain for the people, like, that's what gives me so much joy, because I know I can trust everything I'm hearing from you because I know you've lived it. It's your experience. You know it because you can find it out. And you're all brilliant in what you do, so thank you.
Thank you. We love you. You look amazing. Enjoy the dinner. We'll see you there shortly.
Occasion.
We're almost on our way to dinner.
Somebody failed.
Did Andrew just knock somebody out?
It sounded like it, but we are being joined. We got a whole brothers panel right now.
More black men.
We have, I was going to say Congressman, that's because I saw Ed Towns. We have Garrison Hayes, who's a video correspondent for Mother Hayes. We have Chris Ray, who is the international president of Phi Beta Sigma. You see him dapper in that blue. And he's also the president of the Divine Nine Council of Presidents. Also, I don't know why Andrew is the welcome committee.
He gets up out like we're not live. Like he can sit
He
and
just
say
doesn't
hi
care.
from
He just
here.
goes rogue. I'll tell him something he's not
I got a
listening.
black job.
He has no idea what I said. He wants to be the welcome committee, the goodbye committee, the hello committee, the I'm not listening to you committee.
Don't hate friends.
Anyway, last but certainly not least in my introductions, Dr. Wes Bellamy, who is the public policy chair for 100 Black Men. He brings his students here to this conference every single year. I have the great honor of being an EP on his documentary, More Than a Statue, and he's here, of course, with a kente cloth bow tie on.
I love it.
I love
Y'all
you.
are all looking very
You guys
dapper.
are great, and you guys are doing even better than how you look. So tell us about what's going on.
Black men.
Get close to the mic because
start out.
Get close. To the mic.
She did. You were being the welcoming committee when she was
I'm
out.
talking about you should introduce
I'm tapping out.
Mr. President. Now that he's back and he knows that we actually did our black jobs, you have the
Before you leave, we have to get a photo because my brother, I would be remiss, my brother is a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, plays at Georgia Southern University. So yes, you and I have to get a photo so I can send it to him.
Listen, first of all, thank you all so much for the opportunity to hang out with you all, right? Been following you all, love what you're doing for the culture, love the information that you're sharing. I get to do my black job, which is I'm the international president of Phi Beta Sigma. I get to serve as the president, the 20th president of Barber Scotia College, the home of Mary McLeod Bethune, and now I am the chairman of the Council of Presidents.
He got a lot of jobs.
I got a lot of jobs, a lot of black jobs,
Leading.
Literally.
but just doing the good work, And this man right here who has been a big inspiration. I got caught up in this whole leadership chain when I had the opportunity to serve as mayor of Spring Lake, North Carolina, a few moons ago, and I was plucked out of this whole obscurity because of Andrew Gillum. And so I'm just really glad that he was able to put me and connect me with a group of amazing young people who I've been able to grow up with in the fight.
And they all still design their own outfits, so
let's
just know everything is purposeful here.
And let's be clear.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. One, man, with respect to our dear brother Andrew, but he's everybody's big brother.
Yes.
Honestly, man, and the work in what you put in, it is super appreciative. Tiffany, you know how much I admire you and thank you. Man, I love both of y'all, but I'm not gonna lie. I love Angela the most. She know that's my sister. And anybody messing with her, I'm gonna find them.
Okay, we might talk after the show. You already know Wes. Don't start. I just all across the floor trying to stop you.
We know. I just want to make sure that was clear. But
we'll stop there.
Lord, he always
on that one.
He's not serious. It's just a joke.
Yeah, y'all can't let me in. Wink, wink. But we really appreciate all the work in what you all do, and we're excited to talk about a lot of the collaborative work efforts that we have going on, and not only getting brothers and sisters out to vote, but most importantly, putting on for the culture for these last 50-some-odd days.
Here it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy to be here as well. It's great to be on finally and make it happen. I mean, you guys are doing something really special in that I think black media has such a really important role right now. And so it's incredible to see your platform and the way you're using your platform is amazing. In my work, I'm covering black issues most consistently, telling black stories about the way that we're utilizing our black political power this year. I've been down in Atlanta talking to both voters and organizers on the ground, folks who are mobilizing in communities that are often left behind. And many of them are getting their information from platforms just like this one, so it's a real honor to be here.
I love it. Thank you for your work. Bringing information to people. I'm happy to have these black men at the table because we've talked about this a little earlier in the show, and that is the manosphere. And the comments coming from the manosphere. And I just wonder what you all might say to our good brothers out there who might be misinformed, misdirected, miseducated about what is at stake for this election. And I hear consistently from the manosphere about this agenda to drive a wedge between us. Right. And y'all know we love you. We need, not only do we love you, but we need you. Yeah. You are integral to our lives and our community. So what would you say out there to men who feel like, well, we left out of the conversation and this black women this and this black women always vote Democrats and black men vote for Trump and what about me? What do y'all say to them?
Well, I would say.
Wait, Tiff, do the voice one more time. And what about me? And we.
That's why she get all the emails and
that is nuts.
So many brothers sounded like that.
Right. I don't know.
Everybody was like.
Pre-puberty. But nonetheless, so the 100 Black Men, we're a part of this 21-city tour talking about Real Men Vote. And to be candid, those are things in which when we go to these town halls, we hear some brothers say we feel left out. But I think what I would say to them is similar to what we say during the town halls is, brothers, we have to be, one, educated and informed on the issues. We know that there's a great deal of misinformation that is specifically targeted towards us. And if you just look no further than the mother, the black mama that birthed you, her rights are under attack.
Yep.
You're a black sister, you're a black daughter, you're a black niece, you're a black cousin. You all just had Alexis on. Their bodies and their ability to be able to do what they want to do is under attack. And candidly, what I'm often saying is, currently, we don't have the time to complain about what isn't happening or the wedge that's being pushed between us, this perceived wedge that's pushed between us. What we have to do right now is what we have to do, which is be the true leaders of our communities, collaborate and work together, take care of our brothers and our sisters, and most importantly, show up. That's most important. Show up and do your job because you have an obligation to do so right now.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I was just going to add a little snake on what you said. One of my favorite things about you is I saw your videos on TikTok. And you are constantly educating in spaces where people get on completely unresearched, not saying much, but every video that I've seen from you, I've learned something. How are you utilizing that platform to kind of combat some of the misinformation that Tiff is talking about, making sure you're bringing people in to be heard?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's so important here is that, like, we don't get to this moment without the things that came before it, right? Like, we have to talk about the fact that we are at this very week is the 30th anniversary of the 1994 crime bill. Right. Black men are left out of the conversation. I just mentioned being in Atlanta. Just last week, I was in Atlanta talking to some young men, and both of them have felony convictions. They can't vote. And so they have been taken out of this conversation in a way, intentionally, systematically, right? And so we have to acknowledge that there are structures in place that have led to this kind of disillusionment that we see. Yeah. And at the same time, I love the mentorship. I love the messaging that we're hearing from our brothers here about we don't have time to really get caught up in that, right? They're using our vulnerabilities against us as men, the misogyny and sexism that we're taught from birth, the ways that we're being conditioned to believe that women are inferior to us. They're using that against us to leverage our vote against us. And so much of what I try to do on my platform is that re-education work, the work of really taking that history, taking the issues, and reframing them, hopefully adding in some more information so that people understand things differently so that we can build a better future. And I think that's I think it's so important and often overlooked in this conversation because men are being educated by folks who do not have our best interest in mind. The last thing I'll say is unfortunately men are taking their own lives. And we have to ask ourselves why. And a lot of it has to do with the pressure that we put on ourselves. And the manosphere is a part of that. They have blood on their hands. And we have to call it that and say it that way. And this election is so important.
I think that's such a thank you for that, for stating that the way you did. Anybody can answer this. I just wonder why out of that frustration, because when our brothers are in pain, we hold your pain. We feel that pain. We too are in pain. And I think it's in our nature to love and to nurture. I wonder why out of that does it become that we, the black women, are your enemy?
Broken.
And you're the closest to us.
Many of us are broken.
Yeah.
And what you don't realize is that we are literally moving through life broken. And so here I am. I have been taught at a certain age how to carry myself or what I think a man should be, how I should move in this world. And then when there are individuals that see me not operate in that space, they criticize me, they tear me up. It is literally death by 1,000 cuts. So by the time I get to a space of where it's time for me now to take a partner, I'm not even who I'm supposed to be. Broken. And so, and then you have the individuals who say to you, you don't need to get any help. You don't need any support there. A real man doesn't, you just suck it up. You know how many times I've heard that in my life? Yeah. Just suck it up. And here I am now, and so you wonder why, as I move through this space, that I am not able to have the true conversation with my partner. I'm not able to really know how to navigate on my job. I don't know how to navigate in other relationships. And so the only time that I find an opportunity for me to really express myself is in this informal time with my brothers, where I'm just kicking it, and you're saying stuff like, man, she tripping, right? But really what I'm saying is, it's like, man, I don't know how to communicate to her. I don't know how to move in such a way to let her know that I care. I don't know how to say I'm vulnerable. Oh my gosh, that word very rarely comes out of our mouth. And so because being vulnerable as a man is absolutely not a part of the lexicon of being a man. Broken.
Yeah. And I'll just say brokenness also has no monopoly on men. Brokenness
absolutely.
Applies across the board. And the reason why I think it's important to say it is because we're almost always, it feels like we're looked at from the deficit perspective of what we're not bringing to the table, rather than what is here present that you've never seen exemplified anybody else but me, if we're being honest with each other. But I will say, in all of y'all's comments that hit on this, that it is systematic, that folks aren't waking up feeling broken. There are advertisers who put commercials on television between the most popular shows on that we're watching and others are watching, and never choose to take mental health as their mantle or their opportunity to say, you know what, this is in vogue. Whatever the phrasing is that communicates directly to us in a way that we can hear it. When you consider black men taking on issues during this election, supposedly not supportive of the black woman who's running for president, you are getting not just United States of America Republicans and conservatives coming at you in your inboxes, in your screen time, and when you're twirling through trying to see what story you're going to read next, but you got China and you've got Russia. Yeah. You're so powerful as an individual and as an entity that foreign nations have determined that you are the enemy and are now putting endless resources into making it true.
Yeah, that's right.
So it isn't by accident. We're not stumbling into it. We're not broken and falling into it. We are targeted with significant resources to perform a certain way.
But you said something also that I think is super important when you said the proximity. Tiffany, like when you see the closest proximity to the person that you know is oftentimes the person in which you harmed if you're not healed in some regard. So our sisters often catch the brunt of our brokenness.
Oh man,
because they are the closest to us, and we feel as if that's the only place in which we can try to invoke some kind of superiority, which again is all systematic. Yeah. Things in which we have to be intentional with breaking down. And I'm glad that we have in the platform the opportunity to be able to discuss this. You asked the question earlier, Tiff, what would we say to black men? First and foremost, you're valued, you're loved, you're supported, you're needed, you're necessary, but you also have to go out and vote in this election, or at a bare minimum, encourage everyone you can to do the right thing. Because if you don't do the right thing in this instance, you may not have another chance to do anything later.
You're not going to have another chance. And, I remember there was an argument one time I had with my wife, and she said, if you were on your job, would you talk to your supervisor, your manager that way? No, you wouldn't, because you're trying to protect your job. So why would you talk to me like that in our home where we are, the president and CEO, or we're the, why would you do that to me here, knowing that you wouldn't do that outside of this space, but you would do it in this space? And I had to check myself. She had to check herself, realizing, I'm not going to blow up on you here because I know that I'm going to be able to manage how I'm going to delete that email before I resend it, because I'm trying to protect the lifestyle that I have. So why would I not try to protect the lifestyle that I got now? One of the things that we're doing with the National Parenthood Council, specifically our fraternities, is we're having deep conversations with the fraternities, the 5 fraternities, on how we're going to make sure that we are seriously engaged in this upcoming election cycle. Now, next week, we're excited that we're going to be dropping a lot of information on how the National Parenthood Council is about to be a part of this process. We're not sitting on the sidelines. We're going to make sure that we're going to be an intricate part. Every single week, there's going to be something coming out from us about making sure that folks are getting to the polls on November 5th. Watch us work.
I love it.
So this is amazing.
So great.
Thank you for that. What an amazing way to close out the show with words from Black men and the openness and knowledge that you've armed the home viewing audience with, but also just us as your counterparts who are cheering you on and grateful to the roles that y'all play in our lives and our community.
And we do see y'all. We do thank you. I do want to say his name one more time, Justin Robinson, who is the young man who was shot and killed by the police here in Washington, D.C. just days ago. Wow. And we want y'all to know we stand with you. We're thinking of you. And we're absolutely going to talk to the CBC about what can be done on a federal level to prevent these shootings to continue to happen. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you, brothers.
Good work.
Bye.
Thank you, brothers. All right, there's
Of course,
Andrew getting up.
Gotta
Andrew,
get up again. Can't close the show.
the viewers are yelling at us.
He is a perpetual politician. They yelling at us.
Leave Andrew alone.
They always want us to leave Andrew alone. Andrew thinks that we bully him, but really we get bullied.
They don't see what happens off camera.
Bye, y'all. Thank you so much. I want to tell you guys how much it means to me to be here with you all in this way. It is the 53rd annual legislative conference. It is such a significant and historic occasion. This may be the very last time that President Joe Biden addresses a large audience before the election. And it may be the last time that Kamala Harris addresses this body in her role as vice president, and the next time may be when she is president. So I'm looking forward to going to see the members walk across the stage. And just so y'all clear, that's going to happen in about 3 minutes.
Yes.
I will leave y'all's asses right here so I can go see them.
Okay. Do you really want to leave us, or you want us all to say bye?
I would love for us to all say bye so we can all watch my favorite
We should all say bye.
Welcome home.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is amazing. We will catch you when? We're back on next Thursday. The new episode will drop Thursday. Oh, mini pod. Do we have a mini pod to drop Monday?
I'm not sure, but what I will say is I would love to have a break, but maybe not gonna let.
You got a day off next week?
No. No, Tiff said no. She said
no. Because we record. So we'll see y'all the next Native Land pod. You'll see it's Thursday. Lolo is off camera yelling at us. Thursday is the next episode. But between now and then, you can catch up on this episode and any others that you may have missed. We were live a few times this week. So please tune into that. And thank you. Yes, do it.
I'm sorry. I want to thank the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation for having us here. We're so very grateful for you all. To the iHeart team, you guys, clap it up for them. To the streaming team that came through, Dylan, Ina, all of our friends. We appreciate y'all.
Yes.
Everybody. Lolo, Lolo was late. I just want y'all to know.
Oh, Lolo, thank you.
But she always on the job.
Lolo
was late, but she always on time.
18 black jobs. But shout out to Lolo, Nick, and Lauren who aren't here. We really thank God for all of y'all.
Can I shout out really? I know you want to go. I just want to shout out our guests who came on tonight, because there are a lot of guests who make time for networks that don't look like us, who prioritize networks. And these guests understood that we carry an audience who are interested in what we're talking about, but who are also motivated by our guests. There are guests who, may cancel at the last minute, who would never do that to a white-run network. So I just want to say thank you to the guests who respect and honor what we do and the platform we have.
And they respect you.
And you respect us. So we appreciate you for that. So everyone you see on here know that they appreciate you, and we appreciate you for tuning in tonight. Thank you guys. We're going to head to the dinner. You all have a wonderful Saturday night.
51 days left.
Is it? That's how many days?
Yep.
51 days next to the election. Welcome home, y'all.
Native Land Pod, Reason Choice Media, iHeart, everywhere you get your pods. All that good stuff.
Boom.
Bye.
Boom. And boom.
Oh, walk in
Boom.
so they can see your dress.
Boom.
Oh, okay. Okay. And all these chairs Andrew pulled out.